Hello everyone, welcome to Rare Drop Gaming. This is episode 3. It is June. I'm a month ahead. June 4th, 2015. I'm your host, Yun Fei Lung, along with...
I am Andrew.
Andrew? Wait a minute, I thought you were Phantoms Y.
I think I changed to Andrew, like I used to be Phantoms Y. And I still am Phantoms Y.
Right.
But we're going for a more casual atmosphere, right?
Yeah, well in that case
So-
I'm just Jason. I think I changed to Jason last show.
I think we did, and like then we just kind of hop back and forth because we're so used to the old stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're going to be playing some SWTOR here today on the podcast. Mostly just because it's something that I've been playing anyway, and it's something I can easily do in the background while we chit chat. Also, if you're a subscriber right now, they have the 12 times experience thing going on, but we'll talk a little bit more about that later.
Excellent. So yeah, man, it's as always these days, it's been a while since we've gotten to sit down and do a show. Life is busy, man.
Yeah, we're old, so
We are old.
got kind of the modest responsibilities going at least.
Yeah.
You're married, so you got some more commitments than me, but
Yeah, man, marriage is it is definitely a thing where you definitely, like, your time is not your own anymore.
yeah.
It's you want to spend as much as you can with your significant other. So, and I feel like if it's going to work, you really do have to make those commitments.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, man,
You would know a lot
life-
better than me.
Yes, married life is good though. Can't complain.
And hey there, Murder Raid Conquer Gaming. How you doing?
What's up, man? Thanks for coming to the show.
Yeah, it's just been a while since we streamed last, but like we were just talking about, real life just kind of gets in the way sometimes. But yeah, anyway, let's continue.
Yeah. So you can join us in chat live on Twitch.
What you're doing right now, if you're seeing this.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, for the YouTube crowd.
Right.
later on, but
later on. Yeah.
I just thought that was kind of funny.
Tee. Yeah, if you're listening, to join us in chat. I don't know. I'm still not used to the whole Twitch deal after doing 2 shows. I know you do a lot of streaming on.
Well, a lot being relative. I haven't done much recently, but...
You do a good bit though.
Oh, you're Adam's friend. Okay, you're a serious streamer with 1,100 followers. Yeah, that's a lot better than me. I've got like 200 or something.
Hey man,
So
spread the love. Get let people know at Rare Drop Gaming.
hey, well, thanks for dropping in, man.
Yeah, we do appreciate it.
I hope you enjoy our little podcast. I'll be playing some SWTOR, actually, as I've already said. But yeah, let's continue.
Yeah, but yeah, man. Like I said, married life is good. Staying busy. I'm actually, believe it or not, heading back to school here soon, college, which it seems a lot of people do midlife now. Like they think they're going one way and then they just change their mind and they're like, yeah, let me change careers here.
Well, a lot of times they just can't get into what they want and that kind of thing. So it makes sense.
Yep. So
Or their interests just have changed, as they've kind of grown up.
yeah, so true, man. So I'm gonna be probably doing more college for about 3 years, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, Jason is the one talking about going back to school. Murder Raid Conquer.
Yes. Yeah. People say we sound kind of alike, so I don't know.
Yeah, we have gotten that. Oops. Let me go in here.
So yeah, what's happening in the game now here?
Right now, we've just arrived on a new world called Voss. This is in the later parts of the game, Chapter 3 of 3, for the Jedi Consular storyline. There's going to be some mild spoilers here, but like nothing too intense, I don't think, because you're not going to have a lot of context for what's going on. But don't worry too much about that. It's mostly background. But I do like SWTOR. It's easily the best story-focused MMO in my opinion out there right now, just because of its presentation.
Yeah, I really like the story elements of this game. I'm not a big MMO guy, but I like the story stuff is really Mass Effect-like to me. So,
Oh yeah, it's BioWare.
yeah, so I mean, I can definitely dig that. And anytime you give me choices, I'm like, yes. That's what I
Yeah,
want.
me too.
That's what I
Hey
want.
Troy, I didn't realize it was you. I've heard much about you.
I have met Troy quite a long time ago, man. Good to have you with us
Yeah,
here.
that's what he's saying. I think that's why he was asking about you.
Nice. Thanks for joining us, man. I can't actually see the chat window, so Andrew here is kind of doing the chat thing.
Yeah, it's right over here. I don't know if you can lean forward and see it.
Yeah, I can't really see it. Too small for me.
I got you.
But yeah, Star Wars, very cool MMO. And like I said, I'm not too into MMOs. I've thought about trying that one Kung Fu MMO,
Oh yeah, Age of Wushu.
Age of Wushu.
It's too PvP oriented for me, but it's just me. I'm not really into the whole PvP thing very much.
Yeah, I mean, just anything to do with like Kung Fu, I'm there.
Yeah, I hear you. There's another one coming out eventually. I forget exactly what it's called. Like not Age of. I'm thinking of Age of Wushu, but
That one you showed me
it's
the trailer for, right?
Wulin, I think, but I could be wrong. I can't remember the name of it, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the one you showed me the trailer for, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was impressed with the trailer, which doesn't, always do the game justice.
Yeah, Adam tried to get everyone into Age of Wushu. Yeah, he's since moved on as well, though.
Yeah, he's still a Secret World guy. You can check out the Rare Drop supplemental he did on YouTube with the with that game, I should say. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much he's playing right now since he started working, but I know that's still his game, definitely. Another thing I should mention, since we just mentioned the Secret World, we talk about gaming news and stuff. They've got or as of today, I think actually they made it to where you can ride a motorcycle in the Secret World. I haven't checked it out yet, but
No, that's cool.
yeah, I was like, oh, vehicles. Cool.
I'm into that. Man, it's crazy because more and more games are getting vehicles.
Yeah, it's popular,
I just recently watched the Arkham. Oh, what are they calling this one? The next Batman game.
Yeah, the one with the Batmobile.
Yeah, the one with the Batmobile. And I was like, that's cool. It's weird. It's going to be a Batman game that's rated M for mature, which I don't know. I mean, Batman is so dark anyway. It's just kind of weird at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can run people over.
Yeah.
But anyway, I
Grand Theft
digress.
Auto Batman.
Your favorite is ESO right now. I've heard that game has made leaps and bounds since beta. I thought it was terrible at beta. No, maybe not terrible, but I thought it was not good. So, yeah. But anyway, let's continue with what we've been playing. How about?
All right, let's talk about what we've been playing, man. Playing and watching, we should say.
Yes.
Because
Entertainment stuff we've been doing, basically.
we like movies and television. Me particularly television and movies. But hey, man, we actually got you to go to the theater the other day.
Yeah, that never happens.
And
which actually was ironically because Adam and his wife were down here visiting.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I want to hang out. So
Yes.
we went and saw Mad Max.
We did. Which that's not what we have on the format now that I
Doesn't
see
matter.
it. But let's talk about Mad Max first, man. I had never seen the original Mad Max film or any of the sequels or anything like that. Like, I knew of Mad Max because it's kind of a big film from, I believe, the 80s, post-apocalyptic. So I really, honestly, I had no interest in the movie. I had seen the trailer, but Adam, Sun Wukong, wanted to go see it, and his wife, of course. So I was like, yeah, we'll tag along. And
Yeah, I just went to hang out. So
yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by just how good it was.
yeah, I enjoyed it too. Man, it is a spectacle fest. I'll tell you that.
Oh my gosh, we were talking about it after it was over. Like, all right, there's maybe like 10 minutes of dialogue, and the rest is pretty much one big car action sequence. Split into, I guess, three action sequences, really.
Yeah,
But-
like I would almost divide the movie into chapters almost, with chapter 2 just being or chapter 1, I guess, being really short.
Right.
But anyway, that doesn't really matter. The movie's really good though.
Yeah, the criticism has been like, well, you don't get to know a lot about the characters, but I feel like this is almost like sort of an introductory film. So, I mean, if they do want to do a sequel, or if you want to go see the classics, you can learn more about Mad Max. But this is just sort of like, all right, here's a very basic introduction. You've got Mad Max. He's this really troubled dude. Go.
Yeah. I mean, the movie isn't trying to be like a character piece though.
No.
I feel like it does a good job kind of getting you invested in the characters with very little dialogue. And, you know, the characters are almost like caricatures, to be honest. But that's kind of okay because of the what the movie's trying to pull off, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And I think it does well enough with the characters, you know, especially, like I said, given what it is doing.
Yeah.
Because the movie's just a train wreck. It's in a good way.
A
train
good,
wreck.
yeah, a spectacle of a train wreck with just pretty much nonstop action.
Exactly.
I mean, I can't recall when I have seen so many stunts in an American film, you know, like maybe ever. It's really crazy, man. You know?
And it's gruesome. That movie is.
It is a violent film.
Yeah, it's a hard R, man.
Yeah, definitely.
They did not hold back at all.
Yeah, but I appreciate it. You know, it's a raw film, and it aims to shock. And I think that the shock value is there, but it's not like needlessly there. You know,
I mean,
it's
there's
there.
definitely some needless.
You think?
But yeah, like there's some places that's like, okay, this is just a little gratuitous, but at the same time, it's like,
Maybe.
well, given the nature of what's going on, it's like, yeah, if you did that to somebody driving at, you know, 80 miles per hour, I don't know, or 88 miles per hour, then
gigawatts.
what was it, 1.21
1.21 gigawatts.
Yeah,
that's
gigawatts,
it.
there we
That's
go.
It. I'm dating myself now. You know how
Oh
old
man,
I am
everyone
now.
loves Back to the Future. Oh god, these guys are attacking me.
Uh-oh. Gonna have to take him down, man.
Ah,
Take him down.
ah.
But yeah, Mad Max, really cool film. Great cinematography, and you know, I usually don't really go for those post-apocalyptic films. I don't know, for whatever reason, the setting just usually doesn't speak to me. Not much in a game either. The only time I really like post-apocalyptic is like The Walking Dead. But Mad Max, man, it did it well. I guess I should specify and say, like, I don't like the desert apocalyptic setting, you know?
Yeah.
For whatever, like, it's just so desolate. I'm like,
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying.
yeah. So, you know, usually not very colorful, but they managed to really, like I said, they managed to really make it work in this film. And so I feel like if you're looking for a damn good action film, go see this. You will
Oh no,
enjoy
it's
it.
not that we don't like Fallout. I'm just gonna call you Troy, but you know, at the same time, I think it's a setting that we're not huge on. It's not that we don't like Fallout. We do like Fallout.
Oh, I love the mechanics in Fallout. It's awesome.
And I think that it can establish a really interesting atmosphere. It's just not our favorite setting. Like for me, I've gone over this numerous times on the podcast, but you know, for me, sort of the fantasy future, modern future setting is like my favorite personal setting. So you know,
Man, I'd have to really think about my personal favorite setting. What those of you in chat, is it just Troy in the chat?
yes,
Well, what's your favorite setting, Troy?
and yeah, I just did your suggestion there, Troy. That's a good point.
But yeah, I mean, for me, I don't
Gone
know
the wrong way.
I don't know what it would be because I like so many different settings. You know, I feel like it depends on the movie. You know, I love the ancient Wuxia kung fu setting, but I also love a good wild western tale. I like sci-fi films. You know, Star Trek and Star Wars, and so I don't know. For me, just a variety of unique settings are cool.
Oh yeah, I mean, I like numerous settings. I'm just saying, like, if I had to pinpoint my favorite,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, it's hard for me to pinpoint a
it's
favorite.
definitely. I prefer more modern stories. I don't know, for some reason. Like it has to be really good for me to be interested in a very like traditional fantasy setting.
Yeah, well, I feel like, I mean, it's hard to do a good fantasy film. It's, you know, Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit films. I really enjoy those a lot, but I don't usually get into a lot of fantasy stuff otherwise. You know, I've heard Game of Thrones is terrific, and I know people are like, "Oh, you haven't seen Game of Thrones?"
Oh,
No,
yeah.
I haven't seen Game of Thrones yet, but it is one on my to watch list. But yeah, it's I think everyone has their preferred setting usually, and I don't know. I just like that good variety, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, hell, I'm playing a sci-fi MMO right now.
Yeah, and
I like sci-fi.
Probably the best there is. It's funny because
don't go there.
oh, as far as MMOs.
Yeah, you don't want to start a riot.
Oh yeah, well I guess everybody has their opinion. It's like fighting games, right?
Oh yeah,
Like
it's like any game, really.
Everyone has their
how
their favorite.
how gamers are, man. Some of them get really, really defensive.
Yeah,
but that's neither here nor there.
Well, hey man, I guess my favorite type of game is open world, Grand Theft Auto style, and it's like my favorite is Sleeping Dogs, and people think I'm crazy, but that's how it is. But we were talking about what we've been watching and playing. Getting back to, we talked about Mad Max. Really good film. Any more thoughts on Mad Max, Andrew?
Not really. I don't want to get into spoiler territory.
Yeah, I don't
That's
either.
not what we're about. So I think it's worth seeing as long as you are into action films. Basically, it's not a good enough movie in other respects, in my opinion, for you to be interested in it. But as long as you enjoy an action movie, go see it.
Yep. Good action, a little light on character development,
Yeah, exactly.
That is an honest criticism of the film, I suppose.
Which, I mean, I'm fine with. Because I don't think that it does bad with the characters and the way it does it, but I'm repeating myself now.
Yeah. Well, a lot of action movies are guilty of trying to develop their characters too much, I feel like. Like...
I wouldn't go that far. I just feel like a lot of action movies have really hollow characters, and then they try to make... They try to make their characters like more than they should be.
Yeah, they try to add unrealistic depth to the characters. When sometimes I'm just like, you know what? Just focus on the action. Make it a good action film.
I mean, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. But let's talk about a game that just came out and that you've been playing.
Yeah, that is The Witcher 3. Actually, The Witcher 3 is awesome. Spoiler alert. But. Yeah, everyone is saying this, and I completely agree. The Witcher 3 is a really great game. I haven't played that much of it, actually. I've been kind of splitting my time with numerous games I've been playing recently, but I like The Witcher 3 a lot. And a lot of people have been saying, it's the best RPG in years, I definitely think it's one of the best action RPGs in years. I haven't played enough RPGs in the past few years to say that it's like the best. I will say that I think it probably earns that title from a lot of people. Well, and thank you very much for the host, Troy.
What's going on?
We're being hosted, so anyone who comes to his channel will see our podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. We very much appreciate it, Troy. I was going to ask, Dragon Age 3, you recently played that.
Yeah.
That came out pretty recently.
Yeah.
So, would you say that Witcher 3 is a better game than Dragon Age 3?
Oh, that's like the question everyone asks.
Yeah, it's a pretty loaded question, man.
Yeah, it's really loaded. The thing is that they're really different games despite being in the same genre, Yeah. It's like... I'm trying to think of a good comparison, because I was going to say it's like Saints Row to Grand Theft Auto, but those are a lot more similar than...
well, particularly the old Saints Row, Saints Row has kind of gone in its own direction, but I digress.
Yeah, but the thing is that in Dragon Age, yes, it's an RPG, yes, it's very focused on its characters and, kind of development, there's progression, as you'd expect. They have those things in common, but in Dragon Age, you're controlling a party. It's very much focused on the mechanics of, you being a leader of these, of these people, of building up a fortress and, kind of establishing yourself as a power in the world. The Witcher is about Geralt, basically. You're playing as one man. You are, yes, your actions can influence the world around you. It influences the people that Geralt is close to, of course, as well as anyone you get involved with, obviously, because there's plenty of side quests. And, obviously being the hero character, you have a lot of influence, and what things you do are going to affect the world. But it's a different take on things. It's an action RPG as opposed to, kind of a tactical one. Not to say that there's not tactics of the combat, don't get me wrong. But I feel like it's almost apples to oranges in a way. So I feel like a lot of people that are kind of asking for a clear-cut answer on that front are kind of barking up the wrong tree. The Witcher 3 does some things better. Dragon Age Inquisition does some things better. So, for example, I feel like The Witcher has a much more believable tone. I was going to say realistic, but realistic is not really the word I want to use. The Witcher 3 is a little more believable, I feel like, than the Dragon Age Inquisition. It's a little more grounded. I feel like part of that is because the world is so gritty, and like there's some really terrible people. There's terrible people in Inquisition as well, but it's filthy, man. The Witcher world is a filthy world, and it's always been a filthy world since The Witcher 1. But I feel like in The Witcher 2, they really kind of... It got more towards a gritty tone that was realistic rather than almost like hypersexualized and a little overblown in a way. I mean, it's still... There's still sex in The Witcher, spoiler alert.
What?
Just because
no.
they always... It's kind of got a reputation as being a sexy, quote-unquote, game.
Yeah.
And, they obviously enjoy having that label. And some people are interested in that, obviously, in their games. But, I mean, I'm just kind of straying all over the place with this, but the point of the matter is that they do different things, and I feel like... Again, The Witcher does some things better. The combat in The Witcher 3, I feel like, overall is better. But it's in a different manner than Dragon Age, and The Witcher 3's combat is still not, like, you're not going to be like, man, this is some of the best combat I've ever played or anything. But
Kinda
in
like
Dragon
Witcher
Age...
2.
What now?
Kind of like Witcher 2.
And it's better than Witcher 2.
Oh,
That
that's really good.
Geralt just moves more fluidly than he did in The Witcher 2, in The Witcher 3. But, the tactical camera was so bad in Inquisition. It was such a disappointment after them kind of touting it as this feature, and one that I was super excited about.
Yeah,
your mileage may vary on that, because different people obviously want different things in their, their Dragon Age games,
right.
Their RPGs in general.
Well, PC gamers definitely wanted something
and-
different than console gamers.
Exactly, and the controls were so bad on PC. It was very much there were a lot of concessions made for PC with Dragon Age Inquisition. And you really felt it, in terms of the UI, in terms of controls, and I feel like The Witcher feels better. It feels like it controls better on a PC. At the same time, it's obvious The Witcher has made concessions for PC as well. But I do think overall that combat is just a little more satisfying in The Witcher. Though I feel like the versatility of the character you build and this is my opinion, in Dragon Age is a little more rewarding. Just because you can be such a different kind of character, and you can build such a different kind of character in Dragon Age, as opposed to Geralt, who's always going to use his silver and steel swords. He's always going to have his magical signs, and he's always going to use alchemy to an extent. Though obviously you can be much more focused on alchemy, much more focused on magic, much more focused on melee, depending on your playstyle. You're not going to explicitly be a mage for a party. You're not going to be the warrior/tank for your party in Dragon Age because it's a different type of RPG.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So it's a really hard question to answer. I feel like, again, The Witcher's approach is a little more realistic. I feel like Dragon Age has more deep characters because it focuses on that party mentality. Whereas in The Witcher, you're going around, you're meeting a lot of people. You are in Dragon Age as well. But there's not this kind of group that you're close to at all times that are always kind of providing their input, and you're getting to know more and more as the game goes on. The Witcher has a few central characters, obviously, and yes, it does a good job of investing you in those characters, but there's less of them that are very central to you, and this is not to say that one is better than the other. In one way or the other. I do feel like they are, but obviously your mileage may vary because I have my own things that I enjoy in RPGs.
Right. Do you think it's fair to say that The Witcher 3 is how can I say this? Would you say Witcher 3 is a more gritty game than Dragon Age 3?
Yes, because it's more believable and it pulls less punches than Dragon Age does. Dragon Age in its lore is gritty as hell. Like if you really look into it,
right.
But it's kind of got this style to it that doesn't really go into the more gruesome aspects visually, at least.
Right.
Whereas in The Witcher, they don't shy away from that shit.
So it's
like
more,
if you decapitate a guy, his head is flying off.
It's more like Witcher 3 is like the Game of Thrones, and Dragon Age is more like the the third Lord of the Rings film, perhaps.
Yeah, that's a good comparison actually. In terms of the grit that's going on visually, at least, because in Dragon Age, there's terrible things that happen in the world, as bad things as happen in The Witcher's world. But it's not really presented to you in the same no-holds-barred manner as The Witcher presents it. Because both worlds, they deal with terrible things. They deal with blackmail, betrayal, rape, just unreasonable death, decapitation, murder of children, families. Both of them have these horrible things in them.
Right.
But it's never presented to you in this raw fashion in Dragon Age as it is in The Witcher. And some people will prefer it kind of, on the lighter side. They don't want to see all that. Whereas other people will be like, yes, I want to feel the full impact of this. And,
right. It's kind of like the question in, horror films, like, how violent do you want your horror? Do you want the hostile horror, or do you want the classic 80s slasher film horror?
Yeah.
Big difference between those films, obviously.
I will say that I think The Witcher...
same genre.
Yeah, exactly. I think The Witcher looks better. I think The Witcher is a better game visually.
Right. Which, Witcher 2 is still just a gorgeous-looking game.
Yeah, it is.
Especially on PC.
Mm-hmm. And, Inquisition looked nice. The environments in both games look fantastic. But I think that the models look better in Witcher 3. I feel like the lighting is a little better in The Witcher 3. But I think they both look really good. So, that's not to say that Inquisition is bad-looking. Though I do feel like there's some things in the game that look kind of not great. But, I haven't played enough of The Witcher to say that, the entire game looks fantastic. But what I've played of it so far looks really good. So I know, and this is one thing I should mention, the game also does not look as good as it was advertised, which has been
really?
Yeah, it has been a contentious thing.
They
pulled a Watch Dogs, where the
okay.
game did not look as well as or as good as it was demoed.
Watch Dogs has to be one of the most disappointing releases in many years.
The thing is, The Witcher does so much well, and it's such a great game in so many respects that it kind of, whereas Watch Dogs was a letdown in many respects, it's kind of like not a huge deal. Personally, to me, graphics really aren't a huge deal to begin with. Like, I like my games to look nice. I like it when they look nice, but that's not at all the end-all be-all to me.
Well, at this point, games look so good graphically, how much better can they look, honestly?
Yeah, to me, art direction is more important than graphics.
Yeah,
like,
I totally
if you have
agree.
a great art style, it almost doesn't even matter how good your game looks. Unless it's going for a really realistic style. And obviously lighting is always, an important feature, shadows. That kind of thing is always going to make your game look better. But, a fantastic art direction can really cover a lot of that up. Look at the Wii games,
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny, we've talked about this before, how, those old SNES games look a lot better, or maybe I should say hold up a lot better than the early PlayStation 1 games.
The sprite-based stuff versus
the
3D polygonal, if I can speak English, type graphics.
Yeah, those old PlayStation 1 games, man, they look pretty bad now, to say the least.
Oh, yeah. Toshinden.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I loved Toshinden at the time, but oh, man. Now you look at it, and I'm sure if you play it...
atrocious.
Yeah, pretty horrible.
Wait a minute, I went to the wrong place.
Uh-oh.
I'm an idiot.
Yeah, well, it's hard to play and talk. I have a real hard time with that.
Yeah,
but,
I just casually been glancing now and then. But anyway,
But getting back to Witcher real quick,
Yeah.
For someone who has not played Witcher 1 or 2, is it possible to dive into Witcher 3?
absolutely, they did a great job of making it to where you don't have to have played either game. Now, you're not going to understand, at least, I mean, you're never really going to understand, well, maybe not never, but naturally throughout the progression of the game, you're not going to understand the deep political ramifications of a lot of the things going on.
Right.
You're not going to understand, why, or you're not going to understand really the build-up to the Nilfgaardians coming in, their invasion. You're not going to understand, who is Foltest, what is the deal with Temeria? How does this relate to Geralt? I mean, you'll kind of get hints of that, but you're not going to understand everything that went on, obviously, in the other games. And I didn't finish The Witcher 1, so hey, I played The Witcher 2, but
Yeah, I've played a bit of Witcher 2, and I want to play a lot more of it.
It's a good game, but
Yeah.
Either way, I do think they do a good job with it, though, and I feel like it's a game to where they quickly present you, here's your objectives, go do this thing. We give you a little background enough to understand why you want to do this, and then they kind of fill in the gaps as they go. I feel like it's done really well to where you're not alienated with what's happening. Though as you go, you may be like, wait a minute, I don't exactly remember who this person is or whatever, but The Witcher's always been a really deep world that's just filled to the brim with, with characters, honestly. It's loaded. So, that is something that's that was a problem for me in The Witcher 2 as well, just remembering who was who, but, again, that's just... There's so much political craziness going on in that world.
Yeah, and I mean, the decisions you make in that game, we've talked about it on previous shows, and I'm sure it's the same in Witcher 3, they really matter, but oftentimes the decision is not really black and white like in Mass Effect.
And that's my favorite thing about the games, to be honest. You know me, I've always been a very, very sort of story/roleplay almost oriented gamer. I like, even if there is no choice, I love the illusion of choice.
Right.
So when you present it in The Witcher in a manner where there's no, there's no paragon or renegade, there's no black or white. Every now and then, obviously, you're going to feel, that this choice is better than the other one. But very, very often, it's very, very gray. And The Witcher loves doing these kinds of things to where there is no right answer. And they don't like giving you the clean way out.
Which is often the case in real life, which
in
to me
Bioware
makes it more
games
compelling.
like giving you the way out, which it is rewarding in a way because it's like I worked hard to get this way out in a lot of the times, but at the same time, it cheapens it a little bit sometimes. So I appreciate that The Witcher does that, and it doesn't hold back in terms of hey, this is a gritty, terrible world, really.
Yeah.
Kind of pick your poison.
Right.
So, that's really, like I said, my favorite part of The Witcher probably is just how they don't pull their punches and let you, pick some terrible, choices. Sometimes choices that you don't know if they're terrible or good. Your perception may make it the right choice, but you don't know if it's going to be the right call in the end.
Right. You just have to go with it, man.
Yeah, a lot of it's like vigilante justice, there's no one to put this guy in his place but me. Maybe I've condemned this guy to death. Was it the right thing to do? Well, I don't know. Did he deserve to die?
I don't know.
It's up to you.
It is. That's why you gotta play.
Yeah, so I think it's a great game. I think it's fully worth the asking price, $60. That said, it's already had sales, and I got The Witcher 3 for like $46.
Oh wow.
Which, that was before it was released even.
That's a good deal,
So
man.
yeah, I don't regret it already, and I haven't finished the game yet. So
Yeah.
there's just so much to do in the game. It's an open world game, I should also mention. Up until this point, The Witchers have been fairly linear experiences. You go here, and there's a bunch of side quests in this area. You can do them. Now you can go wherever you want. And
Very cool. You know me, man.
like
Open world, I love it. So.
Oh yeah, you'll appreciate that about the game for sure. I have no doubt. But they've loaded the world, man. There's stuff to do everywhere. Whether it's just you're a Witcher, you hunt monsters. Whether it is just killing more monsters, you'll find like a Necker nest, and it's like I should probably take care of this because these are monsters. They're going to make life hard for the common people nearby. But you need the proper tools to take care of it also. Like, you can't just destroy this nest in the game. You have to make bombs with alchemy in order to be able to destroy the nests. And it's kind of, on one hand, it's like, oh god, even to do something as simple as destroy a monster nest, you need to dabble in alchemy and kind of get into the finer mechanics of the game. But it makes it more rewarding because you have to, if you want to do these side quests in the world, you have to dabble in these mechanics, and it's kind of a way of getting you acquainted with these mechanics in a fairly natural way, I feel like,
Right.
because you'll stumble upon these nests naturally, just going places. You'll be like, what's that question mark on my map?
Mm-hmm.
You run over, suddenly Neckers are attacking you. You find this nest. You take them down, and,
Step on your journey is
it's like you look at the nest. Okay, well, I need a bomb to destroy this. Okay, well, what do I need? I need a bomb. You go into your alchemy menu. Here's the things I need to make this bomb. Okay, well, I need to either pick, the proper flowers, or, in many cases, obviously, you're going to need to go to an alchemy vendor and, buy the right things if you can't find them otherwise. So,
get away.
I
Very
feel
cool.
it's cool, man. There's so many mechanics in the game. There's so much to do in the game.
Which, that's what you want for your $60, or I guess, in your case, how much did you say?
Like
15?
it was like 46, I think.
That's crazy to me. I always feel like the right price point for a game, that's really good should be about $50. Especially in an age where, like you just downloaded it onto the PC. You don't have
Yeah.
like a physical copy or anything. I feel like for digital games, $50 is the right price. Yeah, that's what you want. You want your game to be fully loaded nowadays, and it sounds like this
Yeah.
is one of those games that delivers.
Yeah, it is. Oh man, you cannot accuse The Witcher 3 of not having enough content. It's just, it would be a ludicrous argument.
Yeah, right.
Um,
Somebody
I-
will do it.
I'm sure they have. But, before we move on, I just want to say that, it's got that kind of almost Elder Scrolls-like thing of where you can just roam around the world and lose yourself and enjoy what's going on.
Few
But
games
it's
can
also
do that.
got kind of like the story bits that make it, really rewarding in more story-driven games in a lot of ways. So I feel like it's got a great mix in the game. It doesn't, obviously you're not going to be making your own character. You have a little input into who Geralt is with your choices, but to a point, Geralt is going to be Geralt, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're going to have quite the same amount of freedom as you would in your typical Elder Scrolls game. And it's not like you're going to have, actually, I guess it kind of does have the depth of most of your story-driven games, though. So I was about to say it's not going to have the same amount of depth in that regard, but that's actually kind of a lie, I think. I feel like it has the depth of those story-driven games while having a lot of the sort of really explorative and kind of natural narrative of you going out and exploring the world and stumbling upon these things yourself, or going out and seeking them for yourself because you're a Witcher. Hey, I kill monsters. Though you never do it for free. That's the Witcher code. This is your
You
job.
gotta pay, man. You
Exactly.
gotta pay.
But, I feel like it has a great balance, and one that I don't feel like we've seen struck quite to this degree in any other game to date in terms of exploration meets story, because Inquisition tried it, but there was so much filler in the things that you'd find in the world. Witcher 3 has some of that as well. Like, you do run around and just kill monsters in these areas. But there's also so much of this narrative stuff to find in the world, which is really, I find it rewarding. If you're a lore-based gamer, if you're a story-based gamer, you'll find it interesting. If you're more mechanics-driven, then, you'll probably enjoy running around and exploring on your own. But at that point, I don't really know if The Witcher is going to be worth it for you because there's so much story and lore stuff that's important to playing the game. So,
yeah, I mean, I like games with really good stories, and I'm certainly not opposed to a game having you play a certain character as long as that character is interesting, you know. Of course, I played far less interesting characters than Garrett, you know. I mean, I keep going back to Grand Theft Auto as far as open world games. Those characters aren't like the most dynamic characters, you know.
Yeah, they're usually horrible people.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I'm not like against playing a horrible person, I guess, but I from a moral standpoint, I like my characters to be doing something for a reason, you know.
Yeah.
But there again, I mean, it's Grand Theft Auto, a game where you're running people over. Witcher is a very different kind of game.
Yeah,
So-
and I mean, Geralt he's not meant to be this goody two-shoes character.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you can play him with a code that kind of mirrors your own to a point. And, you know, you can even refuse, you know, money to help people if you want. And, you know, I've done it before just because some of these people are so downtrodden and, like, I just feel so bad taking their money.
Yeah.
Because they have nothing, you know?
That's rough, man. That is
But-
rough.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I feel like Geralt's just a really good character to begin with. But I've just been going around in circles, basically. The Witcher 3 is awesome. You should buy it, even if you have a passing interest in RPGs. And I think that's kind of my final word on it, honestly.
You've sold me on it, man. I want to play it at some point. You know, for me,
Do you
I'm
have
gonna...
any questions about it? That's what I really should ask. I mean, rather than me just, you know, monologuing.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've pretty much asked most of my questions. One more thing I will ask is, you know, the difficulty of it. How hard is it? Because Witcher 2 could be a pretty damn hard game.
Oh yeah, that game could be punishingly difficult.
Yeah, and I mean, I haven't even played past the tutorial point, I don't think.
Here's the thing: The Witcher 3 has a difficulty setting, one of which is even just called like story mode. Like it's like I just want to play the story.
Okay, cool.
I have not played that. I'm playing on normal. Normal can be hard, but it feels easier than Witcher 2 for sure. And I think a lot of that is a result of the just the combat being better in terms of
Right.
Geralt moves much better, so you feel like you have better control over him. Like it's easier to dodge. Your mobility is just better, so you can get away from attacks more. It's easier to take on more than one enemy, just because it feels like the control is just more responsive, in my opinion. So.
It's good to me they have the story mode because, you know, there are people like me. I like RPG mechanics when they're done well, and it sounds like they are done well in this game.
Yeah.
But sometimes I just want to go through a game and experience that story, and maybe then I'll go back and play a normal mode later on, you know?
Right.
So I think that's really smart that they do that.
Yeah, you know, there's people who only are going to be interested in the story
Right.
of the game, you know, and they're not really going to be... Like, they'll probably want to do some of the side quests because there are so many good side quests in the game, which is, you know, that's something that I say that Witcher 3 does better than Dragon Age, is there are far more interesting side quests.
Right.
Because Inquisition had so much filler quests. It was almost like an MMO in the number of just, like, garbage quests. But, you know, it does the story thing really well.
Yeah, which is what you want from an RPG, man. Like, you know, if you have strong characters and a strong narrative, then you're there. And you know, I wish this for action games too. I wish the narratives were a little bit stronger a lot of times. That's one thing I really liked about Mass Effect 2 and 3.
You mean 1 and 2?
1 and 2. Well, actually, I haven't played all of 1 yet. And you know, and we've talked about Mass Effect 3. I mean, we beat it to death.
Yep.
Say what you will, you know.
I won't let it go.
It was still a compelling story that could have
Oh yeah,
certainly
Mass
been
Effect
told
3
better.
had some fantastic conclusions. Even.
Yeah, it did.
Just not the
Just-
ending.
Yeah, man, what a disappointment. We're going to talk about E3 later, and that's one thing I think, I'm going to say it now, we are going to see some kind of preview for Mass Effect this year.
You think?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know that it'll be anything in-game, but
Yeah, you think they'll have a teaser rather?
I do. I think...
That wouldn't surprise
I mean,
me.
it's pretty
actually, I
common,
never thought of it.
common knowledge now that BioWare has been working on another Mass Effect for a while.
Oh, I mean, they straight up said it
Yeah.
on Twitter.
Yeah.
So,
So, there you go.
yeah, but Yeah, I should stop beating this dead horse. Witcher 3 is great.
Yeah, so
let's
it's
move
out
on.
now for PC,
PC, Xbox
PS4.
One, and PS4. Yeah.
Yeah, no love for the old consoles for this one.
I don't. I mean, if you destroyed the graphics of that game, maybe it could run on those consoles. But
Yeah, it's time to move on from those consoles. Really,
it's been time.
yeah.
If
And-
you're a console player.
And I say that like graphics don't matter, but there is a noticeable difference when you upgrade to a good PC or a PS4 or Xbox One.
Yeah, I mean, if you go too far back, it is even hard to play games
Yeah.
that look just so bad.
Yeah, it's wild, man. I mean, things have advanced. I mean, can you imagine by the end of the Xbox One and PS4's lifespans what those games are going to look like? Because we're still very early on in the generation,
Yeah.
especially since generations are lasting a lot longer now. Because people, they don't want to buy a new system every, what was it, like 5 or 6 years previously.
Yeah.
Now it's more like the console generations are like 10 years.
Yeah, it was like 8-9 years last generation.
Yeah, it's wild. It lasted far longer than I thought it would. But it's not a bad thing by any means.
Yeah. Gaming is just changing. Some ways better and some ways worse.
Yeah, man, the mobile phone stuff. We'll talk about that a little bit when we get to one of our stories. But, moving on briefly, just wanted to mention that WWE 2K15 came out rather abruptly for the PC. It's like,
Yeah, they had like a month announcement, and then it just came out.
yeah, 2K's like, this is coming to PC. There you go. John Cena likes PC games. And then a month later, there it is. They didn't even really give a date until like right before it came out. I think like a week before maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
And there it was. It came out without the DLC, but then they were like, well, the DLC is going to be free, and that's like a $100 value. And so, they released all the DLC. I think it was last week. And so now all that's out for it.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And plus it's cheaper. It's like $48 on Steam as opposed to, I think it's probably the same on console now, but initially, $60 game.
Yeah.
Including pretty much none of the DLC.
Yeah.
Which, absolutely biggest rip-off.
Yeah,
I
that
hate-
would still be a problem on the consoles. Is even if you got the game cheap, if you wanted the DLC, you'd have to pay for it.
Yep. So, I mean, I really hate all the DLC bullshit that they're milking out of games nowadays. But, WWE 2K15, it's pretty common knowledge, and I've talked about it previously, that game has issues as far as gameplay. The graphics are really stunning, but also the roster's not that strong. Other issues, like, you can only have 25 created characters, which, I mean, people in the previous WWE games, they're creating a lot more than wrestlers. They're creating superheroes and other video game characters.
I mean, they've
and-
always been doing that.
Yeah, but
Just making the most ridiculous characters they possibly can.
It's great, man. Like, you can have Spider-Man versus Super Mario in a wrestling ring, and who doesn't want to do that? Come on.
It's something you gotta see at least once.
Oh, it's great. But, the creative mode pretty much sucks in 2K15, and that's one of the big complaints. So, the game has issues. I feel like if you're a wrestling fan like me, I guess a big wrestling fan, you're going to want to play it. But if you're like a casual player, probably not so much. I would skip 2K15, enjoy 2K14 on the Xbox 360 or PS3 and wait to see if 2K16 is any better. But it's cool that it's out on PC. I'll probably, eventually get the full version of it. So yeah, man. I will say it's not well optimized for PC. There's a lot of weird glitches. Like, we're running some pretty powerful computers that are far more powerful than the PS4
Yeah, they're
and
straight up
Xbox
modern.
One.
So
Yeah, they're
they won't
like-
be modern for long, but they're modern right now.
Exactly. So, like, I can run pretty much any game I want on max settings and have pretty much no problems, unless the game's not well optimized. And 2K15 is a game that should not have issues, and it stutters quite a lot just
Yeah.
for no reason. And you're like,
That happens a lot with those console port games, though.
Yeah.
Like, they just don't bother to optimize them well, so
yeah.
it's just a matter of, you're just kind of having to bite the bullet.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's out, man, and I'm very glad that it came out for PC, but
This is not what people wanted when they said they wanted it for PC. Yeah.
yeah, like 2K14 would have been better. Obviously, they're not going to go back a step, but
That would be weird for them.
Here's hoping that 2K16, WWE 2K16, I should say, comes out. I would love it along with the console. I doubt that'll happen, but
Yeah,
but
it's
a lot sooner.
piracy.
Yeah, and that's the problem with companies. Companies run into piracy on PC a lot.
Oh, yeah,
And-
they do.
and there's no real way to fight it. I feel like one way is to make it a little bit cheaper and not do all the DLC bullshit you do on consoles, which 2K
But that's
is doing.
like the most popular fad in gaming now is DLC. Pre-orders and DLC.
Yeah,
that's
the
kind of the thing.
The pre-order stuff drives me nuts too, and they're doing that for the upcoming Batman game.
I mean, they're doing it for every game.
I feel like this day and age with gaming, it is smarter to wait a year and then buy the game, and that's a shame because
I mean, it depends on how excited you are for the game, though.
I know, but it really sucks that it's that way because I would love to go out and buy the new Arkham game, day of release, but why do it when you're not going to get all the content available and you can wait a year and get the collector's Game of the Year edition, whatever they're going to call it, you can get all that for free.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a AAA game, they'll probably come out with something like that. But if it's not, then they're
Yeah.
not, and then you
Right.
just kind of.
Right.
I mean, you can wait for a sale if it's on Steam,
Exactly.
or you can wait for in the bargain bin if it's a console game. But
Yeah, I'm just saying it's frustrating as a gamer, because you want to support certain titles as well, but
I mean, that's when you bite the bullet and buy it.
which, I usually do with the WWE games, but yeah, man,
I mean, that's
we're-
why I bought The Witcher 3, even though I have so much to play right now.
Yeah, you just want to support that title.
Exactly. It's the same thing with the next game we're going to talk about.
Yeah,
But anyway, that's not a prompt to move on. We can keep talking about this.
well, I don't have a lot more to say about WWE 2K15 that I haven't already said. Like I said, the main thing is I hope 2K16 comes out either with the PS4 version and Xbox One version of the game, or like a month later. I'd be fine waiting a month later, but
I just hope they don't make it on the old consoles again, man.
I can't imagine them doing that. But there again,
Like, it's holding the series back. Like, that's one thing. I mean, there's plenty of things holding that series back.
yeah,
But
yeah. Well, I mean,
that's one of the things.
graphically it looks gorgeous now, but the
I wouldn't go
gameplay-
that far.
Well, for a wrestling game, let me put that, for a wrestling game.
But see, that's the thing. You shouldn't have to quantify it with that.
Well, it would be nice, but
I mean,
I do
as
feel
long
like,
as you settle. I mean, it's that's it,
yeah.
But I mean, what are you gonna do about it at the same time?
There's not much at this point. I feel like they're, as far as the graphics, they're heading in the right direction.
I mean, the models are looking better, but they still look kind of plasticky, and the hair looks terrible at this point, man.
Yeah, the hair does.
Like, look at the
terrible.
things that The Witcher 3 Tomb Raider did like 2 years ago, and it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's certainly behind the times in a lot of ways, and it's weird because they do like motion capture of all the faces and all this really advanced stuff, but I mean, WWF games, or I should say WWE games, haven't been up to really gaming standards since the
PlayStation 1?
2 days. I'll say PlayStation 2.
Actually, yeah, because SmackDown Know Your Role.
And Shut Your
Yeah.
Mouth. Both those were really great games that were certainly up to standard at the time. It had all the bells and whistles. A lot of the problems with the WWE games is presentation stuff too. Like, why does every creator wrestler have one outro? Like, when you win, they all hold the belt up the same. There's no way to go in and modify anything like that. There's no random outro. Just little things like that that kind of take you out of the world, which, when you're playing a video game, it's very frustrating when you hit those things that kind of take you out of what
Yeah,
you're
like
playing.
you spend all this time making this character that you have a vision for, and
Right.
then they act nothing like what you want them to when they win a match.
Yeah,
It's like, what?
they jump up and down like like a rookie would first winning the
Yeah, even if
WWE championship.
even if they won the championship like 14 times.
Right, exactly. And the universe mode, it can certainly use a lot of work. Though, you know what? I'd be fine if they just took the universe mode out of the game until they fix the other stuff. And that's another problem with the games. I feel like they try to do too many different modes a lot of times, so the game ends up suffering. And I'm sure it's the same for a lot of sports titles. I don't really play many sports games except
we're
for
just
the-
not really into sports.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
general.
I play the WWE games and I play the UFC games, which
I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, sports games, but
Yeah, I'm not either.
because if you enjoy it, then more power to
I mean,
you.
yeah, if you enjoy sports games, hey, that's cool, man. That puts you into something you've wanted to do as a kid. If you've wanted to be a football coach or player, you can go do that, and that's awesome.
I just,
Yeah.
I opened up Steam before we started this, and it's like, football simulator, like 2015.
Yeah.
It's like 66% off. So I mean, whether you want to coach or you want to be a player in football, they've got you freaking covered. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and some people like soccer. I've just never
Yeah,
been in
Like the rest of the world.
Yeah, exactly. But I've just never been into really any sports, except fighting sports, wrestling, and obviously UFC.
Yeah, in
Two
terms
very-
of like actual sports,
right.
it's just
UFC
been
is a real
UFC for
sport,
me.
obviously.
Yeah.
WWE, not a real sport, but I love it nonetheless.
Oh
It's-
yeah, I mean, you've been into it since you were a kid.
Oh yeah. But speaking of, man, I wish the UFC games would come to PC as well.
I wish the UFC games would be good.
Yeah, me too. Well, I'm not as critical of it.
I
as
enjoy
a lot
the
of people.
fighting in the UFC game,
It's
but it's
just-
everything around the
Yes,
fighting
yes.
is wrong. Everything.
Exactly.
They didn't get one thing outside of the fighting right, in my opinion.
Which that's the most important thing, obviously. But all the UI and everything, all the
and the
menus.
UI is terrible. The loading times were just absolutely
Atrocious.
like unacceptable.
Yeah, that game should have been delayed.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
digress.
what
That-
can you do? It makes for funny videos with glitches, which my God, man,
It
there
certainly
are
does
so
that.
many. Hopefully, EA goes back to the drawing board and does a bit better this next time and releases it on PC.
I doubt it. Unfortunately, I would love it
Yeah,
because then that would be one more thing that I wouldn't have to buy a PS4 for. I
Well-
still don't have a PS4, but I don't.
well,
see
I don't
any
either
reason.
anymore. Well, I mean, we're going to talk about that more later, though.
Yeah, that's
Let's
true.
save that.
That is true.
A little bit of incentive to keep listening, guys. And we do appreciate you for listening here on Rare Drop Gaming. With that, let's move on and let's talk about what you're currently playing, man.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of been doing that, but
A little bit,
yeah,
little bit.
the game I was alluding to earlier is The Fruit of Grisaia. That is a
Oh, we're
visual
going
novel.
there.
Just
Okay, I apologize.
I forgot about Switchboard, but that's something to talk about before anyway. We'll just make a quick mention of it. But The Fruit of Grisaia is a visual novel that has just come out on Steam. I'm a noted, person who has been into visual novels for many years, and I actually had this game recommended to me before it had before it was available officially in English. Before then, it had an unofficial English patch for the Japanese version of the game, and I played most of that. I played all but one of the routes in that game,
Oh, wow.
and then I heard it was going to be released in English, and I was like, I'll just wait for it because it was a game I liked enough to where I was like, I want to support this. And if you do enjoy visual novels, you I think most people know whether or not they're going to be into that. It's a game that does not have much in the way of gameplay. It's not a visual novel that is like part RPG or anything. No, this is a straight visual novel. It is a story where you have input on some of the decisions in the game.
But hey, man,
but-
it's the way to read a book.
And
I'm just saying.
like the decisions in this game are very few and far between. Like there's not many in the game, and the game is long as hell. This game is one of the longer visual novels I played. So be prepared for that if you are going into it.
Sort of for the hardcore visual novel fan.
Yeah, or people who just like to read and like to enjoy characters, because that's kind of this game's strongest point, in my opinion. It's just the outlandish characters, really. The characters are silly as hell. and unabashedly so. The game just basks in its silly, ridiculous humor. And basically, it's very Japanese. If that makes any sense.
すごいわね.
Yes, it's got like some of the bad English speak in like some of their jokes. Like
I love English.
One of the characters is like someone who's kind of lived abroad for like part of their life, and like she throws in terrible English, and like they know it's terrible English is the best thing.
I want him to do his best.
She's like, doing this crazy, like, silly scream, like, ah, da, da. She's like, oh my god, and like, they subtitle it in the game as like asterisk, or rather parentheses, and then like, oh my GAH, like, oh my god, because that's actually what it sounds like.
Nice.
It's funny.
That's good subtitling right there, man.
Yeah,
That used to be an issue back in the day with fan dubs,
I mean,
you don't have that much anymore.
The translation of the game goes along with the like silly, ridiculous humor of the game really well, because I mean they kind of it has a lot of personality in the translation, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. But there are, I mean, the game is, I mean, as I said, it's long as heck. There are 4 main characters, I want to say, in terms of heroines who have routes. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. I think there's 4. I could be wrong about that. There could be 5. I think there's 4.
There's 4 memorable ones, right?
I'm terrible at remembering all the characters on the fly, like anything. My memory is just bad in general. But
oh, mine too, man.
Either way, you get plenty of value in terms of a story in this game. But again, it's a game that you kind of know whether it's going to be for you based on what I've said here, I think. There's not gameplay per se extremely Japanese in terms of, the humor and the characterization. Obviously he's got the anime aesthetic.
Is there high school?
Yes, but not in a traditional sense at all.
Is there blushing?
Yes, because, you get giggity with the girls.
Oh,
but
okay.
The game is released on Steam, so obviously they've edited that stuff out.
God damn it.
Censorship, also, that's the thing that bothers you. Just wait, because they are going to come out with an 18-plus version, just not on Steam, obviously.
I was going to ask, is there fan service?
There's definitely fan service, and that's in the Steam version.
Is there grabbing of boobs?
Yes.
Yes, this is total anime.
And there is draping of boobs over said main character.
Oh my goodness, man. Yeah, this is total anime. I'm going back to my 14-year-old self right now.
But the thing is, like, it's high school, but it's this weird situation where I'm not going to say much because it's kind of like spoiler territory easily. But the main character, and they make this apparent from the very beginning, there is much more going on here than, like, the school is clearly not normal. There is 5 students total in this school. And your character has just been transferred into there.
Oh, of course, transfer student. I should have asked about that.
He's always talking about his job, and he's always like, "Oh, I do cleanup at my job." But they make it clear that his job is something very shady. Like, there's something weird going on with him. And because there's 5 students in the school, there's something weird going on with, like, everyone else, too. But you don't really find out what's going on with the characters unless you go through their route, of course.
Is he an assassin?
Maybe.
There you go. Phantom of Inferno style, man.
But basically, there's some interesting stuff going on. Some might say it's kind of tropey. And the thing is, it kind of embraces the tropes in a way. Like, one of the characters is, like, she's trying to be a tsundere character, but she's really bad at it because it's not actually who she is.
Now, for those who don't know, what is that?
That is basically like Rento Sakura from Fate Stay Night. That's a character who is kind of like almost not really abusive, I'd say, but they're very strong and kind of like crude and mean to the character initially.
Pushy, very pushy.
Then they turn kind of sweet and saccharine, like when you get close to the character, basically.
And they blush.
Yeah, and so like they're the type of character who actually is kind of one way, but they try to put up a strong front, basically, is the way. So, like, they're the type of character that's going to be like, don't misunderstand, I didn't do it for you or anything. It's that type of character.
Right.
Which is a Japanese trope. But the thing is, she's trying to be this type of character. And, like, in the first scene with this character, she's spouting all these tsundere lines. She's like, yes, that was really good, wasn't it? You know, under her breath. And then, like, the main character eventually is like, are you supposed to be a tsundere? And she's like, you know, like this epic gasp, and it's like, da-dong, you know, and it's silly as hell.
Oh, man.
And she's like, you're not supposed to come right out and say it, you jerk, you know.
Oh, anime.
So
it entertains me.
It's silly as hell. But like a lot of visual novels, once you get on one of the heroine's routes, the proper arcs for the characters, it tends to take a much more serious turn and focus on, you know, more of the drama-y aspects of what's going on with that character, and blah blah blah. So I should also mention that it is the first in a trilogy of games. So
nice.
You know, I've only played the first game. I don't know what's going on beyond them, but they're all being translated because they were all funded through Kickstarter, which is fucking awesome.
Oh, Kickstarter's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, so we already know that we're going to get all 3 of these games. So if you get invested in it, you're not going to be left with blue balls. You're gonna be able to see the entire series eventually. So,
you know, speaking of Kickstarter, just mention this real quick. I don't know if this will ever happen, but I'm actually wanting to do a documentary about visually impaired and blind people, and we're getting ready to launch our Kickstarter. And I will put some information on the Rare Drop Gaming page probably as soon as we launch that, but our goal is to launch at the beginning of the month. That has not happened, so I'm actually looking to launch about a week from now. I mean, we need a lot of money to actually do the documentary properly, and so that's why I say it'll probably never happen, but yeah, you never know.
Yeah, it's something that you're trying, right?
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, my point is Kickstarter is a beautiful thing because so many cool things like this get funded. And, you know, it makes people want to actually try to do new things. And if there's interest in it, it will get funded usually.
Yeah,
and I feel
it's
like
just, you know, people have gotten kind of gun-shy in a way about Kickstarters just because there's been so many horror stories related to it. But,
yeah,
you know, at the same time, there's also been a lot of success stories.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have people who are legitimate and who aren't just going to pocket the money and run, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's,
which that's
there's definitely people who do that, but there's also like people who just bite off way more than they can chew and suffer from burnout and just are like, okay, eventually I've got to get something out the door, and you know, all those kinds of things. So
yeah, I mean,
there's all kinds of stories, but
and people always try to put dates on their projects and. You know,
well, I mean, you want to give people a window, I think, but...
You do, but at the same time, I feel like people should be understanding if you're like, all right, I've got to delay this to make it better.
Yeah, people understanding, don't be silly.
Especially on the internet, right? But, well, people in general, I guess, nowadays.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
But, you know, it's really cool that that there are services. There are alternatives to Kickstarter out there as well, and I've looked into those a little bit, but just in looking around, it seems like Kickstarter is the more legit way to get things funded than any other service I've seen.
The popular things, and not really for funding, but if it's a long-term project or like an ongoing series or something, Patreon is really kind of gained a lot of steam. But yeah, for one-off projects like what you're talking about, Kickstarter. Right. Is what you want.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I would like to do is do this documentary, and this is my ultimate dream that will probably never happen, and then move on to actually doing some real films. You know, whether they be short films or something like that. And you know, if you can get the funding and then put them onto YouTube, I feel like that's just the way to do it now. Or if you can get your project onto Netflix after it's done, you know, sell it to Netflix.
Yeah.
Because DVDs. Man, it's becoming obsolete. Everything's going to be digital in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going that way.
Like, there are those collectors like myself who still like DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff like that. But even I'm like, all right, at some point I'm going to convert my library to digital and sell a lot of this old stuff off.
I mean, on the old show, it wasn't that long ago when I was talking about how I preferred to have a physical copy and blah, 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 blah. I've changed my tune like 180 in the past, like, I'll say like 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, I hear
like, I don't care anymore. As long as it's a reliable service that I feel like I have security in knowing this is not going anywhere anytime soon.
Right.
I don't have any issue in getting a digital product.
Yeah, at this point, I don't either. You know, I mean, it's nice to have those little boxed-in extras, like, you know, with the Batmobile or whatever, with your Batman Arkham
I mean,
game
if you're a major fan, I can see that.
right, but
Otherwise,
a lot of this stuff, it's very overpriced, you know.
and a lot of
to
it's
add
really
on.
gimmicky.
Yeah, it is, and so at this point, I would rather get the digital copy and save the money, you know. And I feel like honestly, the digital age is making people price things reasonably because, you know, in the past, I don't know if you remember the days when like VHS copies for movies were like $60 to $100.
Nope.
Like way back when we were really little kids.
No, I don't remember that.
You know, just an insane price for a videotape. I can't even remember. Like, I know the Ninja Turtles movie when it came out was really expensive, and same with like Ghostbusters and, you know, things like that back in the day. But now you can rent a movie for like, you know, $5, like something new, with the click of a button.
Yeah, because there's
You
so
know.
much competition that
Yep.
came around.
I
You
mean-
know, there was no way for that kind of thing to hold on.
Yep, piracy made them honest, man. I mean, it's
Well, both piracy and just the fact that it wasn't all Blockbuster forever, you know?
yeah. I don't miss Blockbuster one little bit.
Yeah,
But,
I don't think many people really miss Blockbuster.
Yep, but man, the digital streaming age is here, and it is a beautiful, beautiful thing. As much as
As long as, like, internet service, like, kind of maintains to where it's reasonable to be able to do that kind of thing. Because
Right.
like, with data caps and, like, the way we're lagging behind in terms of, like, data speeds and all that, it's kind of a pain in the ass. But, yeah.
yeah, I mean,
digress.
man, and we should mention this here. Maybe we shouldn't, but I'm going to anyway. Data caps are a bitch,
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I think people know that, but
obviously, but you know, so many.
if you
companies-
haven't had to deal with
yeah, I mean, so many companies are implementing these now, both Comcast and AT&T. The worst, though, is Comcast, which is what we previously had. And honestly, it's one reason that we're just doing a show now. I mean, there are other reasons, too.
Yeah,
But
we
I know,
couldn't do a show for a while
yeah,
because of data caps.
Exactly. Like, it was just impossible to do a show because of bandwidth issues. And, I mean, we contacted Comcast, we talked to them. The data cap thing is total bullshit. It is an excuse for them to go out and strong-arm people like the mafia into paying money for no reason at all.
Well, because they can. I mean,
I mean,
that's the
yeah,
reason.
because they can. So you want to keep us service? You know,
because they've cornered so many markets that they can. That's it.
it is insane to me, and it's really an illegal monopoly, or it should be. But you know, I mean, this is an area where the government, I mean, they've stepped in a little bit, but they need to do a hell of a lot more, and they need to step in and make this.
They
these
should make data caps illegal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's plain and simple.
It's like if you used your water, the water in your house, and after a certain point, they're like, okay, well, now that you've used, you know, I don't know, 50 gallons of water for the month, we're going to start charging you like 4 times as much, you know, for every like 5 gallons you use.
Yeah, exactly. Use 5 more gallons. Oh, that's $100 more.
It's crazy. It's weird. But anyway, I don't want to get on a rant on that because people already know that.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I'm just saying, like, it was really a sore spot for me, man.
Oh,
I
it was for both of us, man.
I was so pissed off, like, because we.
But that
couldn't-
is the reason why we didn't have a show for a while. So we should mention that.
But you know, also they do it so you will buy their cable, and like for us, we don't have cable television because we watch everything online now. You know, we watch Netflix, Hulu, and you know, and obviously you can get everything else other ways. I'll just say that. But if something is
man.
not provided on those services, there are other means, whether it be YouTube or whatever. You know,
Like I don't even watch TV or many movies just because I found personalities that I enjoy on YouTube, and and on Twitch. I should mention Twitch, obviously.
Yep.
Because you know we're streaming on Twitch
Right,
now,
and
I
that's-
watch lots of people on Twitch. That's the way I get my, you know, what I
Your
used to get
entertainment.
my television entertainment. That's what I get it from now.
Yep. Which, I mean, that's cool. And for me, a lot of that is podcasts and things like that. But I mean, we are in the digital age, and these companies like Comcast don't want that. They want you to buy their plan with limited internet, so you will watch their cable service, and in turn watch these shows where they put all these ads on. And people need to say no. Like, that's an old way of doing things. This is not acceptable.
Well, I mean, the thing is, people don't have a choice.
That's the problem. That is the problem.
Like, if there is a way for people to say no, there's it's one thing, but like, people have gotten so used to using the internet, you can't just say, okay, well, no more internet. I mean, you can, but is that realistic at all?
Not in this day and age, man. I mean, you gotta have internet.
I'm a friggin' addict, man.
Obviously, I am too.
You might as well just, vein it straight into my bloodstream.
Yep. I mean, it's all of our entertainment purposes. When we're not working, and that's what we like to do here. And I mean, it's the same with my wife. She uses
I mean, you
Facebook
guys watch Netflix together. That's your thing every night.
That's what we do every night. We have a lot of shows we're going. We've got on our queue, our list now, as they say. So yeah, it's really a pain in the ass to deal with, and we're lucky enough to where we had an alternative company here. If you,
I didn't think we did.
I didn't either.
So,
but it's
I'm
called.
glad you found it.
For us, it's WoW Internet, and I mean, they're not in a lot of places right now. But right now, at least, they don't have data caps. So
yeah, this isn't an advertisement.
No, it's not. I'm just letting
we're just
people
like,
know.
yay! At least there was something for us. Hopefully, there's something for you. If it happens.
Exactly. And you really got to check that data cap stuff nowadays, man, and see what the fine print is. Because I really, I didn't totally believe it, even when I was researching this company. I'm like, really? There's nothing,
Yeah, because
cons.
The only other companies we have near us are AT&T and Comcast. So this was our only other alternative, and
Yeah, we don't live in. I mean, it's not a huge city. It's a medium.
It's a pretty large city, but the thing is that AT&T, like, they're working on putting their fiber optic internet out here, but it's not going to be for a couple more years probably.
Yep. I mean, maybe.
Even that's going to have data caps, but it'll be a terabyte, and I'm like, well, I don't use a terabyte of data.
Yeah.
So.
When I was living in Atlanta, I had the, I guess it was fiber optic AT&T internet.
That's what you are. What was they call it the UVerse, I think, right?
Well, it was the UVerse package, but the internet, I mean, it was just incredibly blazing fast, and we had cable as well. It was a package deal that I just couldn't pass up, basically. And we were in an apartment complex that happened to offer this. It wasn't everywhere, obviously. But that's the fastest internet I've ever had, man. It was just ridiculously fast. And
I think it comes to a point where it's like, I don't really need it much faster.
Yeah. And we had a terabyte a month, and we never went over. But before that, we had Comcast there. We were going over all the time. And
I didn't know you had the Comcast out there at first.
At first we did, and I
probably did. I just don't remember. But
and another, you know what? I could bury Comcast all day. I'm gonna quit.
Yeah. Don't worry about
I'm gonna quit.
I mean,
let's move on.
We've been there, done
Move
that.
on.
Everyone's been there, done. Well, not really.
Wash our hands of it.
Indeed.
All right.
But yeah, real quick before we finish this up, I'll just say that hey, I've been playing some SWTOR, as you can clearly see.
Yeah.
And if you are interested in the game, you can easily tell from what I've been doing if it would interest you or not from the dialogue and the from the combat. But right now they do have a thing going on where if you're a subscriber, you get 12 times the experience from your class story missions, which is the reason that I'm just skipping all the side missions as I go through this planet, because I've played them all before. I've completed all the stories myself, except for the Consular here, which I've seen playing with a friend. So I've already seen the Consular story, but I've never done it for myself. So I'm playing that now, as well, to get the Legacy Unlock power that you get after you complete the storyline.
Very nice.
But yeah, so if you are interested in SWTOR,
excuse me,
it's very nice for that because oh my gosh, like having played all the side stuff, I cannot tell you how nice it is just to be able to skip it. Because some of it is intriguing, but a lot of it is just so much fluff, and
yeah,
it clearly feels like fluff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
As is the MMO style, man.
Yeah, I've been enjoying it because I hadn't played SWTOR for probably like half a year before I came back this time.
It's a lot of bars.
Yeah, I have a lot of abilities.
I'm like, man, I don't know if I could do all that. Like, where's the trigger button to shoot? You know.
This character's a healer, as you can see. I heal myself.
But yeah, I mean, out of all the MMOs out there, as we mentioned earlier, like I like the dialogue options and the story on this, and I'm not even a big Star Wars guy. I like Star Wars,
Yeah.
but you know, to me, it's not like
That's exactly how I feel
Crazy.
about it. But I enjoy it because of the presentation of the
Right.
story, like a lot more.
Right.
You know, it's very BioWare.
definitely, and that's what I like about it. So I feel like if you're gonna play an MMO, man, I mean, and as you said, people are gonna debate this, but
Well, I mean,
This
it's
is
all
the one I
about
would
what you
play.
value in
It
an
is.
MMO.
It totally is.
Like, I wouldn't recommend SWTOR for everyone.
yeah,
But for people who are interested in playing, like, a game with their friends that are, you know, quite focused on story, you know, I think this is a good game.
yeah, we need to play more of this
Oh, jeez.
together because it was fun.
It was. Just let
Yep.
me know.
And also some Star Trek Online, which I would like to go back to at some point.
Yeah, I haven't downloaded that. I need to.
I mean, again, I got stuck at a point. I was just like, F this game. I'm sure it's just something I don't know. Like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong because I'm not real experienced with MMOs. And it's like with Star Trek, you got to read a lot to figure out how the ship works. And
Oh, I mean,
you know,
that's very
it's a-
true to the license, right?
yeah, it is a game you really have to put some time into. And I've heard, it has its quirks too, but I'm such a Star Trek geek.
Well, all games
It's
do.
funny. I'm not like a Star Wars geek, but I am a Star Trek geek. I will admit.
Yeah. You're working
I
on watching
love-
the entire series. I'd say that qualifies.
Yeah. We're through Next Generation now, man. We completed the series. We've got 2 or 3 more movies to watch, but man, fucking amazing series.
It's a lot of Star Trek, rather.
If you haven't watched Star Trek, man, if you want some good sci-fi, like, watch Star Trek. Like, season 1 and a little bit of 2 is a little hard to get through because it's pretty 80s sci-fi, but it's well worth it. I should have included that as well on our little bullet point here, but that's all I'll say about Star Trek because we need to move on.
Yeah. Sounds good.
All right.
Yeah, moving on from that, I believe that we're going to talk about the current state of pro wrestling.
Yeah, I'll keep this fairly brief just because, you know me, man. I can go on and on about wrestling, but it's kind of crazy what's been going on, and that's kind of why I wanted to talk about wrestling here because, currently you have WWE Monday Night Raw, you have WWE SmackDown, and then you have NXT, which is exclusively, I think it's exclusively on WWE Network, and it may be on YouTube as well. They may upload it there. But NXT is like up-and-coming WWE stars or guys they signed from the independents. Like, they recently signed, they're calling him Kevin Owens. They signed Kevin Owens, who was known previously as Kevin Steen, and they signed Samoa Joe, which is a really big deal because Samoa Joe has been, an independent guy for a long time and then a TNA wrestling guy. So it's a big deal for him to come to NXT, and I'm sure he'll be in WWE soon. But the big deal going on with NXT is Kevin Owens came in, and I think he was there like 2 weeks, and he won the NXT championship. I mean, that's pretty damn quick for someone just coming off the independents, right? So he beats
No need to ask.
Sami Zayn for that title, and then they have him immediately go on to Raw and get into a feud with John Cena, who is the U.S. champion, and everybody likes John Cena, right?
Oh, yeah, obviously.
I mean, huge crowd favorite. We're being sarcastic for those who don't watch a lot of wrestling. But, I figured, along with most people, like, all right, they're going to see how this guy performs against John Cena and do NXT champion versus U.S. champion. And, Kevin Owens will lose, but he'll look good, and it will propel him immediately into the main roster. So, good deal for him, right?
Yeah.
Well, he goes in and has just like a 5-star match with John Cena, and not only has the 5-star match, but beats him and wins the United States Championship. And
And everybody's like, whoa, what?
yeah, everybody's mouth just drops because the wrestling is unfortunately kind of stuck in a lot of traditional ways in a lot.
You could easily call who's going to win most matches.
Yeah, you really can. I mean, it's pretty predictable. But so people are just going crazy. They're like, man, this guy's getting the biggest push ever. So it seems like things are starting at least to change in WWE, and I think this is because of NXT. And guess who runs NXT?
Triple H.
Yes, you are correct. Triple H, and not Vince McMahon, which I think is a huge problem in WWE at this point. Like, you know, they've got a whole writing team in WWE, right? But everything...
Yeah, everyone loves the writing team in WWE.
Yeah, I know. So it's Stephanie. I should mention Stephanie McMahon, too. It's Stephanie McMahon and Vince McMahon. But everything stops at Vince.
The box stops here.
Yeah, exactly. If he doesn't like it, it's not happening. And, you know, Vince McMahon is really... He's been out of touch for a long time now. I'm going to say probably really since 2006 or 7. Which is why wrestling is just stagnant a lot of times. I mean, there are really good moments, which is why I still watch WWE, you know, particularly the pay-per-views. But as I've said, I don't watch Raw or SmackDown anymore, like very rarely, because it's just I've got better things to do. You know, I want to hang out with my wife, obviously. That's a little important.
I'd say that's probably a priority.
You know, she's not a wrestling person, so we want to watch other things that we want to watch together, and you know, we want to go out and do things. But also, besides that going on, you've got Ring of Honor and TNA.
And Lucha Underground, right?
And Lucha Underground. I'll get to them in a minute. Okay. But with TNA, we've talked about them a lot and how, like, oh man, it's over for them, you know.
How many times have I said that?
A lot. I can't believe they're still around. But anyway, TNA...
They will never die!
I know. They eventually, like, their contract with Spike TV expired, and TNA is so bad at this point, Spike was like, we don't even want you on our network. Just go away. Like, we don't even have anything. You're our highest rated show. But your show sucks so bad, just go. So, their contract expires, and TNA is trying to find a new home. They ended up on Destination America. I can't remember if I covered that last show or not. And now, at least a couple of weeks back, it looked like TNA was going to be kicked off of Destination America. And I'd say it's probably a sure thing at this point, because I think it actually happened this week. TNA, or rather Ring of Honor, which is an independent promotion, signed a contract to be on Destination America as a lead-in to TNA Wrestling. So,
weird.
Yeah, you've got two wrestling companies on the same network, which is unheard of, right?
Yeah, that's strange.
It's very strange. But, I mean, I believe this is ultimately, you know, TNA is going to get kicked off of Destination America. Like, I'll be highly surprised if they stay there.
But they're still on, though, right?
They're still on right now. So, I mean, I guess it's possible Ring of Honor could still just be a lead-in to TNA, and I guess maybe if the ratings perform all right.
Yeah, like see if maybe ROH is kind of like the show where people casually start to tune in, and
right.
then TNA's the main event.
Exactly. I mean, you know what? And if TNA did stay on, they could potentially do a really interesting rivalry between the two promotions. I mean, they could do really good business
together. Would they both
together.
want to do that?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, who wins what? You know, it's all those... I mean,
politics.
How do you make it happen? Yeah,
exactly.
Because
that's not an easy question to answer.
Because when they did the whole invasion angle after Vince McMahon had bought WCW and ECW, that whole angle was pretty awful. Like, it was the most missed thing in wrestling.
Yeah, that's infamous.
Yeah, exactly. Which, you know, hits and misses. That's wrestling history, man. But I mean, that's pretty crazy that all that stuff happened, right? And not only that, you've got Lucha Underground on the El Rey Network, which is, for those who don't know, it's Robert Rodriguez's network, which, man, they have awesome shows. They play all these old kung fu movies and action movies, and they've also got a New From Dusk Till Dawn series that's based on the movie. But anyway, Lucha Underground is financed by Rodriguez and a number of other backers, and that promotion is just amazing, man. I mean, it's everything you want wrestling to be, I feel like. You know, high-flying action, interesting stories. They have really interesting vignettes. They're not shot like your typical backstage WWE segment that's been done for years and years, right? They're shot like movie segments. And they've got a lot of crazy, kind of kooky, weird stuff going on in these segments. Like, they have this guy named, I think he's named El Mortes, and, he just premiered. He's sort of like their Undertaker character, right? And he's rising out of the coffin in the grave, but it's done in, like, a horror movie style. And then you've got this corrupt businessman who's always back in his office, and, he's talking to different wrestlers. And it's shot like a movie. And it's just really cool and refreshing to see something different. But, what drives the show is the in-ring action and the fact that they always have these really strong main events. And, I don't know, man. I feel like if you haven't checked out wrestling for a long time, go to the Lucha Underground's Facebook page, and they're always posting main event matches and things like that, trying to get attention.
Right.
The big criticism of Lucha Underground is people say, well, it's not a real wrestling promotion, it is a television show, which is true, but I would say the same thing about, TNA Wrestling or Ring of Honor. It's all made for TV now, right?
Yeah, I mean ratings is a big part of the whole thing.
Right, like what makes a wrestling promotion? Is it contracts? How it's up for debate.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's all going to be very, very subjective.
Yeah, I think so too. But man, Lucha Underground, like I was telling my wife, like I have not enjoyed a wrestling show this much since ECW back in the day.
That's high praise, man.
It is just fucking incredible. And there's a new episode today, so I'm excited to watch that. But yeah, man, check it out if you get time. And that's sort of what's going on in wrestling nowadays. I gotta have my wrestling chatter, right?
Of course. That is your thing.
It's pretty exciting right now with what's all the stuff going on with the different promotions, and it's just an interesting kind of transition period for WWE, which, are they really going to take the plunge? I mean, it seemed like it several times, but my God, man, you got to change, and you got to have new stars, and WWE is hopefully doing that. And if nothing else, NXT is fun to watch. So, but yeah, man. So that's it. I went a little longer than I wanted there, but let's move on, shall we?
Let's do.
We just got some bullet points here.
Yeah, beyond that, I believe that we're going to talk about some games that are coming out.
Some news, things like that.
Exactly. I believe that first we're intending to talk about the upcoming Fallout 4.
Yeah, we saw a trailer of that yesterday. Yeah. Like
people have been speculating about this game for like 2 years now, I believe.
Yep. Came out of nowhere, man.
I mean, I'm sure some people were before that, but I believe that there was kind of rumors that it was even going to be at E3 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that didn't happen, obviously. And then last year as well, and that didn't happen.
Man.
And now here we are. And finally, we got the announcement. Fallout 4 is indeed coming.
Yep, we got a nice little trailer with it, man.
Yeah.
What did you think of the trailer?
I thought it was nice. I mean, the graphics don't look like the best thing in the world, but they certainly look nice.
Yeah, so, they look more varied than the other Fallout games, though, right? Less desert, perhaps?
Yeah, I mean more in terms of, like, they don't look as nice as something like The Witcher or...
Right.
But I also, like, okay, well, this is a major open-world game. Of course, The Witcher was, too, so...
Yeah.
But, basically, I'm interested, I'm definitely intrigued by the thought of another Fallout game.
Yeah,
I'm not the biggest Fallout fan. Like, there are people who like it way more than me, but I like Fallout.
I would totally play another Fallout, no doubt about it.
Oh, yeah, I would too.
I really like the combat system in Fallout, as I think I mentioned earlier, actually.
I do too. I don't like it as much as I do the Elder Scrolls games, because I'm just less into shooting than I am, like, shooting dudes with swords or using magic. Because, fantasy. But I do like me some Fallout, so...
It's cool, man. I can't remember. Did Fallout have vehicles or anything like that?
I don't believe so, unless
been-
you got one like in New Vegas, because I didn't play much of New Vegas.
Oh, it's been so many years since I played.
And Fallout 3, I'm pretty sure you didn't, unless you got it in the DLC.
Yeah. Okay. I was just curious because Mad Max has so many vehicles, and Fallout kind of has that Mad Max vibe as we talked about.
They did show numerous sort of air vehicles in the trailer, so I'm kind of wondering if you're going to get some kind of ship in the game.
That could be cool.
I don't know, but I just noticed that I think you're shown like a ship 3 different times.
I was like, man, he's coming out of the vault, just like the Fallout 3.
You have a dog!
A dog!
A dog!
Peter Monalou must be in the development team.
You've got to be so excited.
What the hell is that guy up to these days? Like, I haven't
Trying
heard
not
anything.
to... Yeah, it's because some interviewer did an interview with him a long time back and basically called him out, and he was pissed.
Called him out, really?
Basically,
man.
called him out on all his bullshit, you know?
Well, that's a cool tattoo on that character.
Oh, like he's just an alien. That's not a tattoo.
Oh, okay.
See his crazy eyes?
Well, yeah, I saw those, but I was figured it was just like a costume. He's definitely a humanoid alien. Put it that way.
They're almost all humanoid. Like almost every alien in this game has 2 legs.
That's like Star Trek. Like every alien is.
It's because of like the way the character models interact with the world, I think. So otherwise they'd have to make like different walking animations and shit.
I don't know about Star Wars, but I know in Star Trek they have like some reasoning behind it. Like it's basically like the sperm went throughout the galaxy theory sort of deal. I can't remember the exact story behind it, but that's their excuse for everything looking kind of humanoid, I guess, having similar characteristics. It's an interesting theory, but anyway, yeah, Fallout, man. I'm excited. I don't know when it's coming out. I can't remember if did they have a date on the trailer? I don't think they did.
No, I'm pretty sure there's not any date for Fallout 4 yet. I
Maybe-
think it was just a teaser saying, "Hey, this is coming."
Which, I was surprised this came before E3 because you'd think.
Well-
but you mentioned that maybe they did that intentionally.
Yeah, I think that they're trying not to get lost in the shuffle of E3. And they're not the only ones doing that, as we're going to talk more about that in a minute. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that it was probably a really good move for them. People are definitely talking about Fallout 4.
Do you think
Even though they were before this, they're talking way more about it now, obviously.
Do you think we get a date at E3?
I doubt it. Because if you look back at kind of the track record of Bethesda, it doesn't seem like they really give dates until like a few months before it's going to come out. Like think about Skyrim. I think
Yeah.
we knew like, what was it, like 4 or 5 months before that came out?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, there was time for proper marketing, no doubt about that.
Oh yeah, no question about that. I could be wrong about that, but I think that's how it was, like 4 or 5 months.
I mean, they're kind of like Rockstar in the way they do things,
They kind of are, yeah.
Except they don't like delay it like 2 weeks before the release and be like, 2 more months.
Yeah, they seem to have a pretty good idea about where they're actually gonna stand for release when they say they're gonna release something.
Hopefully, this one comes out unbroken though.
Well,
Unlike-
I mean, being
unlike New Vegas.
yeah, hopefully it's not as broken as that. But the games from Bethesda always come out broken in one way or another. Honestly,
Yeah.
just because they're so huge. Like you look at any of the Elder Scrolls games, you look at the Fallout games. There's always some kind of like really funky bugs with them, and you kind of expect them in games that big, but
Yeah.
you hope that they're not like game-breaking bugs or bugs that are going to corrupt your saves or anything weird like that, like Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah.
When it came out,
Yeah, that game had
my save was corrupted.
Problems. Oh man,
but
that's a long time ago though.
that was, and the game like that really soured me on it at the time. But Fallout New Vegas is a good game.
It's very well received now, no doubt about that.
It's just at the time, oh man, I didn't even want to play it anymore. I got so mad.
Well, you were also doing it, or like
I was hoping
you were
to
playing
review
it for
it.
review.
Yeah,
so-
but because of that, I couldn't, because I was gonna have to replay everything I'd already played.
Yeah. And I mean, at the time, we were playing through games so quick to get these reviews out because
I am
we didn't,
so glad not to be rushing through The Witcher, man. You have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get like not even retail copies. We had to go out and like.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
these
we
were
were
games we
game
bought.
flying stuff most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, if it was a console game.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, but we were getting paid for reviews, which was cool.
Yeah, it was a nice little something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it could hardly be called a job. It was very freelance.
No. It was freelance, but it was cool to get paid for playing games. But
yeah, exactly. It's just a matter of there's definitely truth to the fact of you get burned out on the stuff when you're having to play them that quickly, and
yeah, it's just not that fun, man. I mean, like I love Red Dead Redemption, one of my favorite games ever, but I really wish that I could have gone through that game at my own pace and just enjoyed it more,
Yeah, I hear you, man.
But yeah, so I'm sure we'll be talking a lot more about Fallout 4 in the coming months.
No question about that, along with everyone else who plays video games.
Yeah. So, shall we move on here?
Let's move on to what I'm probably most excited about of the entire show. And we talked about some cool stuff this show.
Yeah, it's been a good show.
XCOM 2 is fucking coming.
It is coming
and
out.
Yes, that deserves a curse.
It does. Because XCOM 1 was a great game.
XCOM Enemy Unknown.
Well, Enemy Unknown, excuse me.
Yeah, because, there's numerous XCOM games.
I forget,
Yeah,
it's part of being old.
I will say that XCOM Enemy Unknown is the first XCOM game I ever played. Because we weren't into PC gaming when we were kids. We just weren't. We played some Commodore games back when we were little kids.
Yep.
But after that, we got into consoles. And we were console gamers up until just a few years back, where we've kind of made transition to being PC/console, but mostly PC for myself.
Yeah. Well, to me in the past, PC gaming just seemed like too much of a pain in the ass, frankly.
Yeah, things are much more streamlined now.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're going to talk about it getting even more streamlined later in the show.
Yep.
But moving back on to XCOM, basically. Oh man, I loved Enemy Unknown so much. I can hardly even express how much I enjoyed that game. I think that was my favorite game the year it came out. It's just my favorite strategy franchise without a doubt, because I don't really like grand strategy games. Where you're controlling a nation and you gotta micromanage all these things. It gets too cumbersome for me. Enemy Unknown was the perfect melding for me personally, because you had the strategic gameplay with your base, which you could definitely do some things there, but you weren't overwhelmed with the amount of things that you could do. You had to manage this and that and the other. And, of course, you had to manage your gear for your soldiers and stuff like that.
Right.
But the crux of the game was focused on, beating aliens strategically with your squads. And, you had all these awesome stories about, the guys that would survive. You got, your A-team that has eventually survived, 10 alien missions. They've all lived where all their friends have died, and this is these are the commanders, and eventually your A-team goes in and they take on the aliens, and one of the big story missions, and then one of your best guys dies, but he lived, he did so good until the very end when he panicked and that cost him his life. There's just, it's so fun. Because, XCOM isn't just a situation where even your strategy comes into play. They've got the awesome mechanics of, the panic, so where, it almost feels like these stories come out of the gameplay, it pisses you off, but at the same time, it's so exciting, when your dudes panic, or, when you've got that 25% chance to land a shot, and then you hit it, and it kills the big guy that you thought was going to kill one of your best guys. And it's just, I found that so much fun. And it just, until the repetition of the map starts setting in, or until your guys get so overwhelmingly powerful.
We got dogs.
So overwhelmingly powerful that it starts to kind of cheapen things, and it kind of starts to become almost routine. Unless you're playing on the highest difficulties where it's just brutal the whole time. But personally, I'm not that good. So, but unless you got to that point, it's just so exciting and really, really rewarding gameplay in my opinion. And for XCOM 2, we know that basically it's an alternate storyline where the aliens won the war and they've taken over Earth, and now XCOM has basically been forgotten, and it's now just this resistance faction rather than this, multinational, funded resistance against the aliens. Now it's just this cheap little resistance faction of I guess it's nations banding together trying to resist all across the world, but it's who knows if it's something that starts local and then expands. I have no idea, but either way, XCOM is a shadow of its former self, and you're the ones on the run this time rather than being. I mean, you've always been on the defensive from the aliens, but initially you had a lot of backing, and you had all the support. This time the idea is that you're scrounging up from nothing to fight this overwhelming threat of the aliens who are in control. So I think it's a really cool premise that, if done right, could really feel like the progression in that game could be amazing in terms of how you rise up from nothing to become this awesome force that overthrows the aliens. Who knows if they're going to take it that far, if you're actually going to overthrow the entire alien government in the game, or if it's going to be... I mean, who knows what the stakes are, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. But I would love it if you finally... Like, it spans so much to where you can actually eventually overthrow the alien government. That would be so awesome.
That would be cool.
I'm really excited about it, as you can obviously tell. It's also really cool to me, and I mean, a lot of people take this as a negative. Obviously, you would if you're a console gamer. It's only been announced for PC, Mac, and Linux.
Which is surprising this day and age, because usually it's the other way around,
Yeah,
you're hoping for a PC version.
Exactly, but what that tells you is that the PC version is going to kick ass. The controls should be awesome for PC. It should be really well optimized, and hopefully it does have a console port eventually.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I mean, that makes me so happy that it is going to be a PC exclusive, at least to start, because that's a game that does so well with PC controls and stuff, and kind of it's just best in that way, in my opinion. Obviously yours may differ.
It would be hard to play that with a control. I mean,
the funny thing is, I played it with a 360 control, and it controls quite well, actually. And if I want to sit back, that's the way I'll play it. But I do think that the mouse and keyboard is preferable. I feel like it also could have worked better in the PC version of XCOM Enemy Unknown, because it had an issue in that game where you couldn't zoom out far enough, in my opinion. But I feel like maybe they can correct that in this game.
I do agree.
I hope they do.
It was rather irritating at points.
Exactly. So you had to scroll so much across the map because you couldn't scroll out far enough to get a proper view of a battle.
It's like, what the heck, man?
Yeah. So, hopefully they focus more on that this time. There's definitely some complaints I have of the original game that I hope they address. One of them is the maps. You would eventually see maps being recycled and recycled.
Right.
But in this game, they're going to include randomized maps. So they're going to be addressing that issue.
That's really smart.
Yeah, exactly. Of you just knowing that, okay, aliens are going to potentially creep up on me on this location because I know the layout of this level, so I know how to best utilize all the cover and blah blah blah.
Right.
I apologize.
Hopefully, that will be much less of a thing, and missions will remain exciting in XCOM 2 because of the randomized nature of things. We'll see just how far it's taken, and if it really does, if it's random enough to where it is, exciting, I guess.
Right. That dude looks like
this
he's gonna explode.
is Star Wars: The Old Republic, DJ.
Hey, thanks for joining us, DJ.
Yeah, thanks for dropping by. And we're just talking about XCOM 2.
Yep, this is Rare Drop Gaming Podcast. Yeah, I thought he was going to explode there for a minute. I was like, what? Is he going to explode?
I thought he was going to explode.
He's all glowy, man.
Yeah, it does look like there are some different aliens also in XCOM 2 from the trailer. It's just a teaser trailer we got. We got no gameplay. We saw one of the XCOM Resistance guys having some kind of machete-type weapon. So, I mean, does that mean that one of the classes is going to kind of have a melee focus? Who knows?
Sometimes I'll make my classes an XCOM melee. Like, all right, you're going to go out there and you're going to either defeat this alien or you're going to die. I know. It's not good, but
sometimes you don't have much choice
Yeah.
because you have to take a risk in order to make progress. But
like, sorry, man, you're cannon fodder. Good luck. But it sucks because, you know, certain guys you don't want to die, as you mentioned, and you get attached to them. You're like, no, dude, I put time into leveling you up.
yeah, one of the
Tell me how
one of the worst things to do, in my opinion, or one of the worst things that can happen is when you send out one of your guys that you know has like a good shot at taking out one of the aliens forward so he can get a clear shot, and then suddenly you uncover a new wave of aliens, and then they move forward to you, and you're like, oh, I'm screwed.
Yep, you just know.
Yeah, I believe that one of the things I said in the press release also is that aliens, I mean, I think I might even be... No, you know what, I'm not going to say that because I might be confusing with one of the blogs I heard speculating. But I was thinking that maybe they were talking about how aliens might not be able to react instantly upon them seeing you, provided they didn't actually see you,
Right.
If you saw them. But I might be confusing that with a vlog that I listened to. So don't take that to heart.
Yeah,
I hope that's something that does happen.
that would be really nice.
your vision.
I mean, you definitely want all sorts of improvements. I gotta say, another thing I liked about the... I was about to say the original XCOM, but that would be wrong. XCOM 3 is the fact that it paid just so much homage to old school, cheesy sci-fi movies, which I've grown to really like.
Hello, Commander.
Exactly. Like, just... Oh, man, like, inspiration from those old movies and from X-Files and just everything, man. Tremendous.
Have you seen the trailer?
I have not. I have not yet.
At the end of it, they have that guy.
Oh,
He's like,
epic.
"Welcome back, Commander."
Okay, so he's
Oh,
there.
that hurts my throat so bad.
Welcome back,
Welcome back, Commander.
I think he's a smoker.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I am Optimus Prime.
Exactly. And I am ready to help you fight the aliens.
I am gonna kick some alien ass. But yeah, I'm
man.
absolutely looking forward to kicking some alien ass in November because it's coming out in November.
Which is really soon. I
Yeah,
mean, it
it's-
doesn't seem like it now, but November will be here before we know it, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, dude, it's freaking June.
I know,
I can't believe that.
I can't either.
The year's been going so fast, and last year felt like that to me too. It's just absurd how quick it went by.
Yeah, it's
But
nuts, man.
I guess that happens when you get old.
it really does, because, I mean, I remember high school feeling like it took forever.
Oh jeez.
Longest 4 years of my life, you know. Now, it just flies by.
Yeah. That is how I felt about it.
It's what happens when you get old, kids.
But yeah, I think that's all I really have to say about XCOM 2. Just a bunch of speculation. I am really excited to play it, and we will definitely be talking more about this one. I think that they had some information on classes in this press release, but I don't have that in front of me, so can't talk too much about it. I believe they said that there's going to be four classes, and they're going to kind of be modified. Or some of them are going to be modified based off of the original classes from XCOM Enemy Unknown. But beyond that, don't know much.
We will see in the near future.
Yeah. So, beyond that, I believe we're going to talk about the cancellation of Silent Hill, which
Yeah.
has happened a bit ago, but
Yeah,
again, we
this
haven't
is-
done a show in a little while. So
It's old news now, man.
yeah, so we want to talk about it a little bit, though.
I mean, really, what more can you say than this whole situation really sucks?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't really know a lot about what happened with Kojima and Konami, but there was some kind of major falling out, and subsequently, Kojima, he's finishing the Metal Gear game he was working on, but then he's not going to work for Konami anymore. You know, there's going to be no more Kojima Studios or what was it called? Kojima Productions, I believe.
Yeah, I believe so.
None of that anymore, man. But I was so excited about Silent Hills because
Oh, so many people were because of PT, the demo.
That was just a really cool demo, and also, you know, you were getting Del Toro, who is a famous director of, I mean, a lot of great films, but he's certainly known for a lot of his horror and sci-fi stuff, and so people are like, all right, they're gonna breathe new life into this with Kojima and Del Toro teaming up, and Also, Daryl from The Walking Dead was gonna play the main character, which whatever. That was cool too, though. I mean, I like Daryl. I just
Daryl.
like Walking Dead. Daryl. So, all that, man, for it to just fall apart, really, really.
I know.
sucks.
After they released the demo and everything. Well, I mean, granted, that demo didn't tell you anything about the actual game, but it looked pretty.
It was a well done demo too. It was frightening, man. I mean, I played.
It
through
was just so repetitious, but
Oh yeah, but a really nifty little demo. And
yeah, it was
cool
definitely
way
interesting.
to.
A really cool way to introduce your game.
Yes, I mean, How many people has anyone ever announced their game with a demo?
Has Gaten Co's vision been
I'm sure it's happened. I can't tell you any right off the top of my head.
I mean, I can't think of any for consoles anyway. But anyway, it's not going to happen now. It's totally fallen apart, and I mean, it would be really hard to salvage this project. Like there were rumors earlier, I guess it was this week, of Microsoft maybe buying, I guess, the Silent Hill license and resurrecting it. And since then, Microsoft has said, no, that's not going to happen. We're not doing that. I don't even know how the rumor got started, but I mean, the only way I can think of it happening is
serve
for
us both then?
somebody with the amount of money of like a Microsoft or Sony,
Harry Voss.
getting these guys together, forming their own studio, and I don't even know if they could purchase the Silent Hill license. Like, I don't even know if Konami would be willing to sell. They'd probably have to
I
call
doubt
it
it.
something else, right? You know,
Yeah. And then there
the
would
hills
probably
are
still,
silent.
There would still be problems because
Lawsuits.
I mean, exactly. Because they'd be like, well, you stole our technology, and
Yeah.
there's ideas that you had under working with our staff. I don't know, but I can't see that coming out cleanly at all.
Yep. So I mean,
Who knows if Kojima would even want to do it anyway?
Yeah, I don't know what Kojima's plans are next, if he even has plans. Probably just, hey, let me finish this Metal Gear, which, I mean, should there even be another Metal Gear, I mean, I thought they finished things up with the last game for PlayStation 3, but anyway, I digress on that. But, we've talked about Japanese gaming being stagnant for a long time, and mobile gaming is so big in Japan now, and
Not even just Japan, man. It's spreading.
it is. I mean, it really is, and the new consoles have not sold well in Japan at all. I mean, they're not doing well over there. Even the PS4.
I mean, because of the culture in Japan, it makes tons of sense because handhelds have been so popular over there for so long.
Yeah,
And mobiles is just the next extension of that. If you make it even easier for people to play games on the go with something they're going to be using anyway,
right.
of course it's going to work out.
I mean, it's not like a lot of people in Japan are home a ton.
Exactly.
So
Trains, commuting is so common in Japan.
that's some of your only time to really game, I guess, is when you're on the train or commuting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
So-
sure it's different in more rural areas, but
Yeah.
hell, I don't know. I've never been to Japan.
I don't know either. I'd love to go someday, and that's on my bucket list, like high on there. Go to Japan, go to Akihabara, and just look around basically. But the talk of the Japanese gaming industry just having lost its former glory. If I can talk. I mean, it's been going on for a long time, but a lot of people are saying this is like the death knell, basically.
I'd argue that it's happened long ago. Like,
I mean, when would you say it officially happened? Like, when would you say,
well,
like...
I
all right,
wouldn't say it ever officially happened, but if you were talking about my perception of, like, when the Japanese gaming was, like, overtaken, like, I would say that happened in the,
Stop.
Oh, man.
Crazy dogs.
There they go.
Yeah, we're professional here, guys.
Well, that's what we get for letting them come in and out. But,
Yeah.
I would say it probably happened around the point of the 360 and the PS3, personally, because I feel like before then, I feel like the consoles still had, or rather, Japanese gaming in the PS2 era, they probably still had as many popular Japanese games as they did Western games, perhaps even more so. Now, as for beyond that, on the 360 era, I think the 360 and PS3, obviously, I think that kind of all changed because I think a big part of that is that the 360 took off so large, and that was a Western console, obviously, and there were so many Western games that just exploded, and just the degree in which they did explode, it was crazy. It all started, with Oblivion. It started with the Gears of Wars, all that kind of stuff, and just kind of exploded.
Yeah.
Hang on 1 second here. Okay, sorry about that.
All right, sorry folks. Technical difficulties, aka crazy dogs barking at UPS men. Had a package coming today, so
Happens when people come to the door.
yeah, had to grab that.
But yeah, basically, I think it happened around that era, the 360 and PS3 era.
Yeah.
I think that's when Japanese gaming started to really lag behind, and it feels like, this is very much a generalization, obviously, but when we're talking about the presence, I think it's true. Japanese presence in gaming is not what it used to be compared to the Western.
Yeah, definitely. It's a different time, but it's weird having grown up with so many Japanese games. I guess up until a couple of years ago, I would have never envisioned U.S. studios being so big. It's
it was a Japanese-dominated market through and through.
It was. All the games we played back then, and even in the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 era, largely.
Yeah,
dominated.
I think through the PS2 era, it was still, all Japan. Well,
Yeah.
not all Japan, but...
you had some good U.S. games. I think of God of War, of course. That was really big, and you had a lot of...
that was the Halo era.
Yeah. Well, later on, with the real Xbox One, the first Xbox. But I don't know, man. It's weird just to see sort of Japanese gaming taking even more of a back seat. Like it's kind of sad to me, I guess.
Stronger than you look.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like this story is telling me anything I didn't already know is the thing. Like, if you wanted to say that this is the final nail, I'd say you could have looked earlier this year to the whole Capcom thing with Mega Man and all that.
Yeah.
That to me, that was as relevant as this.
Oh, I agree.
And
definitely.
It just went to show how out of touch Capcom is.
Oh, it's unbelievable. But even if you look at the next Street Fighter 5, it's a PS4 game that is going to be ported to PC, or I guess it's being developed for PC at the same time. I'm not sure, but regardless of that, it's basically Sony financing the game, which is kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. So I don't know, man. I feel like as far as Japanese game developers go, really, Nintendo is one of the only big developers left at this point.
Yeah. Square Enix isn't what they used to be, Capcom isn't what they used to be, Konami isn't what they used to be, and to me, those were kind of like the biggest pillars of Japanese gaming I would think of.
Yeah, I thought for a while, well, at least Konami is still doing okay,
Yeah.
But apologize for the dogs in the background.
Yeah, 1 second,
guys.
we're going to close the door.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that.
Professionalism here on Rare Drop.
Yeah, That's how we roll.
Yes. But, yeah, man, this story, kind of crazy. And, just wanted
It's
to...
sad, man.
It is. It really is. I don't know. Handheld stuff, I guess, is where you're going to get most of your JRPGs in a couple of years.
Yeah, so many gaming companies are already making, not really necessarily the full transition, but they're focusing on mobile gaming.
Yeah. It is very profitable because, you have the ability to charge customers.
Yeah, the most popular way of them charging in mobile games is the microtransactions. Some games charge up front, obviously, but a lot of the games they're free to play, and then they just nickel and dime.
Yeah, it's crazy, and people, because of the free entry cost, they get addicted, and then it's easy to continue to nickel and dime them. And even though my problem with mobile games most of the time is that the quality is not as good as your PC and console games. And I realize that some of the games are getting a lot better, but it's tough when you don't have a controller or a keyboard and mouse to use on those kind of games. Well, for most games. I mean, I know Love Live that's a different deal because you're tapping the screen, right?
I mean, it has a lot of the mobile tropes associated with that game. I just happen to like the way the game plays enough to where I don't really mind,
Yeah.
And it only has one timer in that game, and that's where a lot of the, well-deserved criticism, in my opinion, of the sort of way mobile gaming does things is associated. Is so much of it is timer based and crap,
Yeah.
which is annoying as hell.
Oh, very much so. That's one of the many reasons I don't like mobile games.
And that's a generalization. Obviously, not all mobile games are like that. But, I don't know. I just like Love Live enough to where it's not a huge problem. And when I want to play a lot, I just kind of use a Love Gem. And a lot of them are given out for free anyway.
Yeah.
And, every now and then I might actually buy a couple of Love Gems. But I haven't bought any in over, half a year now. So
Right.
I can enjoy the game perfectly well without spending a dime. Some games are like that, some games aren't. But I don't want to compare everything to Love Live. I hope that the overall quality of the general game on mobile goes up a lot over the next few years, but I don't necessarily think it will.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I still think that the Japanese have the ability to make really good games. I mean, if you look at Bayonetta 2, exceptional game. I mean, it's on the Wii U, but I don't know. I don't think the industry is really there in Japan. I think it's somewhat there for the handheld market still. Maybe not even somewhat. It is there for the handheld market,
Yeah.
And and of course, mobile gaming is profitable for companies that can make something good. But yeah, it's different times, man. Times are a-changing.
Oh yeah, it is a very different time for gaming.
But
No question about that.
yeah, definitely. And I know we wanted to sort of talk about the state of the new consoles. Do you want to kind of tie this in now?
We might as well. I mean,
Because it kind of goes hand in hand.
yeah, exactly, and then we can move on from there to our next story.
Yeah. So, I mean, in Japan, we talked about the new consoles not doing well. And, they're doing good here. They're selling, despite the fact that there's not a whole lot of games for them. And, that's a big problem. I mean, no wonder they're not selling in Japan. I don't know. I mean, there's a few games here, and I guess that's enough for people to be interested and say, all right, I'm going to go ahead and take the plunge.
Yeah.
And, I bought a PS4, but I ended up selling it because there's really not much for it. And I was like, well, I can go ahead and sell this thing, get my money back, and hopefully when I do buy it again, it'll be cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, there's just not much right now that makes me say, do I need an Xbox One? Do I need a PS4? Not really.
Yeah.
A Wii U is the most appealing of the bunch. But
Yes. Still a
at the
little
same
too
time,
pricey, though.
Yeah, I'm still I have a really nice PC. I have plenty to play. I really don't need one right now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'll wait until, the new Zelda game comes out. I'm trying to think of the name of it, and I cannot think of it. But it basically, Skyrim meets Zelda, which hopefully it turns out good. It seems like Nintendo is putting everybody to work on that, and they're making that their priority. So here's hoping it turns out well. But that gives it time to go down, hopefully, and right now there's just not that much for the new console, so why not wait till they're cheaper? And I think maybe a lot of people in Japan feel that way, and some people in the United States. The only game recently I've seen that I really, really wanted to play for the PS4 is from the creator of Dark Souls. I cannot ever think of the name of it. Bloodborne, yes. I was like, man, that's looks
kind of
really
the biggest
good.
game for the PS4.
And ironically, we're talking about Japanese game development having a rough time, but that is a Japanese developed game.
Yeah, the Souls FromSoft is one of the probably most prolific Japanese developers doing stuff right now.
Yeah, great quality, hard as hell. I don't have the patience for it, but if you do, that's great. This was apparently a lot less harder a game than Dark Souls, so apparently
I would say a lot less, but
still rough. But it's not going to make you throw your controller out the window. Hopefully,
depends on who you are.
Right, true. So maybe I shouldn't play it, but I wanted to play it is the point, and but that's the only thing, man. So, excuse me. Hopefully at E3 this year, we're going to see some pretty good stuff.
I hope so, man. I guess we'll know soon enough, right?
Yeah, and we'll hit E3 here at the end. Our predictions and things like that.
Yeah, just basically talk about E3 in general. Let's see.
Wanted to talk briefly about the new Dragon Ball.
Yeah, do we want to say anything else about the consoles?
Well, was there? I didn't really have anything else to add. Except,
I don't either.
Hey, there needs to be more games. Like it's just.
Saw kind of the obvious thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like if you want to play console games, Wii U is really your only choice for a lot of decent
exclusives.
games. There's not tons, but yeah, they've got exclusives.
Yeah, and they're generally of higher quality than the exclusives you'll get on the other consoles, because there aren't many exclusives
Right.
on the other consoles.
And then the other thing to do is to get a PC where you can play a lot of original titles that are coming out. Indie
Yeah, a lot of the indie stuff thrives. Of course, PS4 is also really embraced in indie, but
they really have. They've done a good job with that. But you don't get the deals on PSN that you do with Steam. Things are always the barrier to entry is high because you got to spend a lot of money on a good rig. But then
exactly
games are actually a lot.
But then you save
cheaper.
money on actual games.
Yep, you're not getting nickeled and dime nearly as much, which is nice.
That is true.
But yeah, so we're gonna see what happens. I still obviously prefer the PS4 to Xbox One, and a lot of it is because of Microsoft's, BS, all the stuff they tried to pull originally, but also just the fact that the Xbox One can't do 60 frames per second like it should be able to.
Yeah, it's not as powerful, but it's not a huge deal. But at the same time, it's also, PS4 does have the better indie support, and I feel like there's just the features on the PS4. I don't care at all about turning, this is my one media center that the Xbox is trying to tout.
Well, it doesn't even do it well,
And I sure don't care about the Kinect. The thing is, I don't care much about what the PS4 does either. With the, you could hand off the ability to play to someone else, and it's I don't really do that. But I don't know. I still prefer the PS4 though, yes. And a lot of that though, for me, is the potential for JRPGs in the future, because I do enjoy JRPGs still. A lot of them are just bad. But when they come out with some good ones, a lot of them just miss the 360, or rather the Xbox, because of the fact that it's a very Western-based console.
Oh yeah, Halo. I question though, I was gonna say Halo's big, but really, is Halo still relevant in today's video game market?
It's definitely relevant. Now, is it what it used to be in terms of its ability to drive sales? Now that I don't know.
I've heard a lot of people say, Halo 4, man, it wasn't as good as Halo 3, and graphically I think it was a step up, but I didn't really play much of that game. I'm done with Halo, really.
Yeah, I've been done with Halo since Halo 2.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I could care less about a Halo game at this point. That's just me personally. You know, maybe if
I mean,
they
I don't
brought
have
it
a
to
problem with Halo.
well, I don't either. I mean, maybe if they brought it to PC, I would play it. You know, if it was a title on sale. But is it going to make me go out and buy a console?
Exactly.
No.
Yeah, I don't care about it anywhere near enough to buy a console for it. But oh, hey, thanks for dropping by, DJ.
Yeah,
Take
appreciate it, man. Thank you. Yeah, it's crazy, man. The console wars. And you know, a lot of it is too that games just take longer to develop now.
And hey there, WeZip, how you doing?
Hey, thanks for dropping by.
You know, the budget for AAA's at this point is just absolutely absurd.
Yeah, I mean, it's more expensive to make a game than a movie by far. So
Yeah, it's wild.
what can you do, man?
You gotta, and the investors who are putting money into it have to be confident, or the publisher, that this is gonna make its money up.
Which is unfortunately why you get so many shooters, or so many of the same games.
Exactly. That's why there's not much innovation. That's why indies are the place you go to look for innovation.
Yeah.
And or weirdness at the very least, because some indies are just strange. But
Super Meat Boy, man. I always go back to that with indies.
yeah, and that one.
That game is strange.
That one's actually fairly tame in terms of its gameplay mechanics are easily understandable, and
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, you gotta have. I feel like you need to make a game that has, enough that's familiar to players, but you also need some innovation in there. If you play it totally safe,
Yeah, otherwise you just become a cookie cutter.
Yeah. I mean, how many times can you play the same game, right?
Depends on who you are.
Of course, there again, hey man, if it's an open world action game, I'm and if it's well done, even fairly well done, I'm usually on board for that. But everybody has their game,
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, anything else you want to add, man? Because I think
the
I've
consoles?
said, I've said more than enough.
Nah, I mean, I think we feel the same as a lot of people on the matter, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I should use this.
So, eventually I will definitely get a Wii U because there's already things I want to play on it. But I would like a $50 price drop on the machine. And,
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel any need to get it with any kind of urgency whatsoever.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'll ever get one. I probably will, but I don't know. Like I've said this several times, man, but I just have so much to play already, man.
Yeah. Well, I know that, we're going to get one because Jessica's interested in the games as well. And, she's a big fan of Mario and Nintendo.
I mean, that's
titles,
important.
and-
You have a spouse.
Yep.
She's interested in games.
Well, it's also something we can play together, which is nice, right? And
Yeah, she
something
loves
that-
Mario Kart, right?
She does, yeah. And I mean, there's not a lot of two-player games really for, I guess, consoles now. Most everything is online, and
Yeah.
I'm not a big online gamer. Like, I don't have any desire to shoot it out with people in Call of Duty or...
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not really Twitch-based gamers for the most part.
But we like the Twitch service. Yeah, bad joke.
Yeah.
I'm full of those bad jokes, guys.
Haha!
Oh, yes. Moving on.
So for those of you still here,
Yes. If that joke didn't drive you away.
nothing will.
Exactly. So, Dragon Ball Z, man. Big anime in the 90s.
Oh yeah, everyone knows what Dragon Ball is.
Yep. They're, after many, many years, they are coming out with a new Dragon Ball anime.
I have a bad feeling about this.
In 2015.
2015. Let's see, what is the name? It's Dragon Ball... I'm gonna have to get you to move the window there, because I have it written down. It's like Dragon Ball Cho, I believe?
Dragon Ball Cho. Yep.
Dragon Ball Cho, which means basically Dragon Ball Super. It is actually got Akira Toriyama behind it, which the big criticism with Dragon Ball GT back in the day was that Toriyama wasn't involved in it. He did the character designs for it, and then it was pretty much like, alright, just do what you want to. I'm tired of doing Dragon Ball at this point. 'Cause, I mean, God, by then he had been doing it for well over a decade, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Boo was 11 years, maybe?
Yeah.
Probably not that much. I might.
Well, also, you got to think the original
Manga.
Dragon Ball he had been doing since the 80s, which, the Dragon Ball manga was just Dragon Ball, even through what we consider Dragon Ball Z. The anime just changed the name to reflect, hey, Goku's an adult. And, the series is more action-based instead of comedy. But this is pretty cool. It's going to take place right where Dragon Ball Z left off after Buu has been defeated. Which, I'll tell you, man, Dragon Ball is even more insane. Like, I don't think you've seen the newest movie, have you?
No. Or Goku becomes like a Super Saiyan God. No,
Yes.
I've not seen that.
Yes, Goku is a Super Saiyan God.
I played the game, and they were referencing that in the game, so that's the only reason I know about that.
Yeah, it's...
He's like, am I a god? I'm like, oh, are you freaking kidding me?
Oh, as if they couldn't make Dragon Ball even more just batshit crazy.
Never underestimate the Japanese ability to make something insane.
Oh, it's wonderful. I enjoyed the new movie, and I don't think the series will have that quality of animation probably, but
yeah,
but the fights in that are just amazing. Like the first half of the movie, it's a lot of Dragon Ball comedy, but then at the end, it's like, dude, it's on.
Yeah,
so
it's on like Donkey Kong.
Exactly. But yeah, man, cool news for the anime world, and also
if you grew up watching Dragon Ball, then hey,
I think everybody from our generation really got into Dragon Ball,
or at least
high school
watched
years.
it.
Yeah, at least knew of it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Toonami
I don't know if
son.
everyone. In fact, I'm pretty sure not everyone enjoyed it, but
yeah, I mean, Dragon Ball has criticisms, and rightfully so. I mean, it's
Dragon Ball is kind of stupid.
I mean, it's like pro wrestling, right? It's bad most of the time, but then, excuse me, then it has like these really awesome moments that are
And
just.
I almost feel like at this point, I enjoy Dragon Ball almost just because I find it funny.
Oh, it's hilarious!
It's just so silly and like over the top, like dumb. It's like, oh my gosh, yes, yes,
exactly. More Dragon Ball. Feed my brain with this garbage.
This power fantasy is so absurd. I love it.
Yep. Oh man, who doesn't want to become a Super Saiyan?
Are you a god?
I think everybody who is a fan of Dragon Ball has at some point been on the toilet and just been like, Super Saiyan!
I've never done that.
That's insane to me. That's insane to me, man.
Now that you say it, I'm like, hey, I'm amazed I didn't do that.
Exactly.
But I've never done that.
I'm better now.
Now I think everyone has made the joke about being on the toilet.
Oh
in
yeah,
Dragon Ball.
because it sounds like they're on the toilet when they're powering
Exactly,
up.
it's
Except
like
in the
that.
Japanese, where Goku sounds like a girl.
Well, that's because she is a girl.
Well, yes, but it's funny. Like my wife, she didn't grow up with the Japanese voices like we did. So
Yeah.
like for me, it's perfectly normal for Goku to sound like a girl, screaming like powering up. But then, she's just like, oh, I can't deal with it, and
I mean, I can understand.
and I'm just like, oh, that's Goku,
Yeah, exactly, 'cause that's what Goku sounds like. What are you talking about?
So I can kind of see, like, if you didn't grow up with those Japanese voices, you're like, you hear the Japanese and you're like, I can't do it.
Yeah, it's like, no, Goku sounds like this.
Exactly.
That's Goku.
That is Goku. The dub has actually gotten a lot better. Like, just watching some of Kai, which is basically a Bird's Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball the way it should be without all the BS in the middle. But yeah, man. So new Dragon Ball. Also, I should mention briefly, like last month, the new Lupin anime actually premiered in, I think it was Italy, strangely enough.
Italy, huh?
Yeah, so, I mean, I love Lupin, so I want to see that at some point too. I think maybe the anime creators are like, all right, we've really run out of ideas. Like there's only so much craziness we can do in high school. Let's go back to old animes and remake them now. Which I'd love to see a Ranma 1/2 remake, man.
Oh, I'd love it.
I'm not gonna lie.
Rumiko Takahashi's pretty old. I don't think we'll see that.
I don't know. I don't know what she's up to nowadays.
I don't either, but she's done enough. Can't really blame her if she doesn't do anything else.
Yeah. Inuyasha. That's another big one from Takahashi.
Yep.
But yep, that's your anime talk.
Indeed.
There you go.
And before we wrap up with our E3 speculation and just general talk about the event that's coming up, we do want to talk pretty briefly actually here, because we've been going like crazy here. And we want to talk about the new Steam refund policy, which is a pretty big deal actually. For anyone who is not aware, the new policy on Steam makes it to where you basically are able to refund a game you've purchased for any reason within 14 days of purchase, or if you've not played it for over 2 hours, whichever, obviously comes first. So that's crazy, though. The fact that they say you can return it for any reason. Like, even if you don't like it. Like, they even say that in the press release. Like, even if you don't like the game, as long as you you abide by these regulations of, returning the game within this time period.
Right. Which is
You can
great.
return the game for any reason. Now, this is fantastic for so many reasons. Chief among them, we were talking earlier, actually, this ties right into that, about how, in the past, PC gaming was more difficult. What if the game doesn't run on your system? What if your OS doesn't properly run it? What if something in your configuration of your computer does not properly allow you to enjoy the game?
Right.
Now, if you buy it on Steam, you're fucking covered. You don't even have to worry about it. If the game does not run,
can
then
return it.
yeah, you just return it and you get a full refund.
Yeah, that is epic, man. I mean, it really is, because there's a lot of old games on Steam.
Yeah,
And that's
there's
why a lot
plenty of shit to give Valve crap about.
Yeah, right.
Like,
exactly.
This
And people
this
have.
is one of the and they should, but this is one of the things where I'm like, actually, you know what, Valve, you fucking nailed this.
Yep.
Because the idea for them is that this is going to inspire more consumer confidence, so people will, be more willing to buy games, obviously.
Right.
Which normally they might be a little more gun shy about. But now,
Understandably so.
yeah, now they can buy with more confidence, which is awesome.
Yep, always a good thing. And I mean, for me personally, it's like, all right, I'm not so afraid to download this game that was made in like 1999, because hey, if it doesn't work, cool, I'll just return it.
Yeah.
And that's the criticism. Or if I hate this indie game, if I'm just like, bro, why did I buy this piece of crap?
F this game.
Yeah, like I can just say, all right, I didn't play this for any more than like 15 minutes. Here, Steam, I want my money back. Which,
Yeah, I mean, just the
Great for
only
the
thing is,
consumer.
make sure that you don't let your time on it run over 2 hours.
Yeah, but if you hate a game, are you really gonna play it for 2 hours?
Yeah,
I mean,
you might. It all depends,
yeah, I mean, I guess it's possible, but
because you might not. There might be a lot of preamble. Who knows?
I guess if it's like a game like Witcher, and you decide it's not for you, and you've played it like 2 hours, well, sorry, you're stuck with it, because those games have long intros anyway.
Oh yeah, I mean, The Witcher is
So
massive.
in that case, do your homework.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a full price game, so maybe not full price at the moment. I guess it depends, but I highly suggest that if you're gonna buy a game that's that expensive, you kind of know what you're getting into.
Yeah, always a good idea. All right, so that's big news.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
last but not least,
we could talk a lot more about that, but
we've been going a long time anyway, so
yeah,
we should probably wrap it up with our final topic, and that topic is our E3 predictions and speculation, as well as E3 hype.
yeah. Basically, we're just going to talk about E3, what we think about it, what's going on, any predictions we have, anything we have to say about E3 right now.
Yep.
This is what this section's for.
I'm hoping we can somehow manage to get everybody together for our big E3 show.
I
which
doubt it.
We didn't get to do last year because I was out in hell, aka Arkansas. God, I'm sorry for anyone who lives in Arkansas. Horrible place. But
I'm sure there's nice areas. So
there is one nice area. I can't even remember the name.
one
but,
nice area in the entire state, just one area.
Just one. That's it. But yeah, man, E3 always a big yearly event, and I mean, in the past we've done.
The Super Bowl of gaming.
It is. So, Andrew, what do you expect from E3 this year, man? I mean, it's do you have any things you're looking forward to?
What I'm
any
hoping
hopes?
for above all, and like this speaks to how big of a nerd I am, is I want a release date for Persona 5.
That would be
like-
nice.
Like, man, stop teasing us and tell us when it's gonna fucking come out.
Although that might be more of a Tokyo Game Show thing.
They say it's gonna be at E3.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So, or at least that's the rumor. I don't even know if they say. I don't even remember where I heard that, so you can take that with a grain of salt. But I believe it's going to be E3, so I'm hoping. And at this point, I'll be honest, PS4 needs any exclusive talk they can get. Well, Sony in general, because this is also coming to PS3. But, it's one of the games that actually, ironically, is has me actually interested in a PS4, even though it's coming for PS3. Just because I love Persona that much. I'm like, is this going to be good enough to where it's something where I should consider a PS4 in terms of, like, the differences?
Yeah, I wonder about that. I mean, really, the only thing I can imagine is, like, particle effects, right?
And load times, like, which is the thing that I would think about most is, like, how bad will the load times be on PS3?
Yeah.
And, also, if it's being made with PS4 in mind, how well optimized will it be? Would it have any issues crashing? Blah, 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 that kind of thing.
Right. All important things to consider.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just something I've thought about, but I don't really have a leaning at this point. So we'll see.
Yeah. Anything else?
The funny thing is, like, before all this hubbub, I would have said I think Fallout 4 is going to be announced. Like, that is seriously what my biggest E3 prediction was going to be, and I think I actually talked to you about this, like, last week.
Yeah,
and then this happened, because I thought it was going to happen at E3. Beyond that, I really don't have many predictions. The coolest thing to me, I will say, we're talking about E3 in general, there's going to be a PC actual press conference this year.
There is,
which is like the first time that's ever happened, which I think is really cool.
PC Master Race.
Yeah,
there you go.
I've joined the PC Master Race, so now I'm more interested than ever.
Yeah, me too.
But I'm interested to see what basically exclusives are going to be announced for both of the consoles, of course, because they need them, and if they have anything to show, now's the time to do it.
Yeah, there's just not a lot out for them, man.
Yeah, they need some kind of new stuff announced, stuff to interest people.
Grand Theft Auto 4 will only take you so far because people have already played that on their Xbox 360.
Yeah,
and now they can play it on the PC as well, which is like the ultimate version. So,
as well it should be.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, I think we'll probably see more of Fallout 83, don't you?
I don't, actually.
No?
No, I think that they released that trailer, and that's all we're going to see of it for a while.
Hmm.
Now, we might see that trailer repeated during a press conference, but new stuff? No, I don't think so.
You don't think we'll get a stage demo of the
I don't think
first
so,
stage?
no.
I gotcha.
Do you?
It's possible that one of the companies, either Sony or Microsoft, will secure a stage demo. I think
It's possible.
I mentioned earlier, I do think they will show at least a trailer for Mass Effect 4.
Yeah. I think you might be on that.
I think that'll happen at one of the press conferences. But, it's going to come out, I feel like, for both systems and PC.
Oh, yeah. I mean, BioWare kind of releases their stuff everywhere.
Yeah, that's too big of a game for just one system.
I mean, they know they can make lots of money on that, like, everywhere. Because everyone, it kind of has a mass appeal to it, basically. Haha, mass appeal, Mass Effect.
Haha! See, we're full of great jokes here.
Party hard!
Full of great jokes here on Rare Drop Gaming.
You come here for your worst pun-based humor.
LOL would be the correct thing to type in the chat.
I'm sorry,
right now.
lol.
Yes. LOL in chat. Come on, guys.
Anyway, I don't have too many predictions this year, honestly.
What would you like to happen at E3? Like, what is the thing that would just make you giddy with glee if it happened?
Well, I want that Persona 5 release date. That would make me real happy. I would like to hear a release date for Final Fantasy 15.
Oh man, that would be nice.
Don't think that's gonna happen.
That game looks really cool. Like, will it turn out cool? I don't know. Like, you never know.
It looks like the combat could be really interesting. I don't really have any faith in Square's ability to tell a story that isn't batshit stupid at this point. I just don't, man.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping the combat will be fun, and I'm a sucker, so I'll probably buy it.
I don't know that that's one I'd buy day of, but,
I don't know. It'll depend for me.
I would certainly, watch it closely. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice here. And, I would see what it has in it, I guess. And, I'd go from there.
Yeah.
If you survive the landing, you'll be
I'm trying to think of other stuff. I don't know. I can't really think of much. Most of the franchises I'm interested in already, like, either, okay, there's not going to be another Elder Scrolls announced.
No,
There's not going to
with
be another
Fallout.
Dragon Age announced. Mass
Right.
Effect might have a teaser trailer, but we're not going to see the game. Like, I know we're not going to see the game.
I mean, I would be real surprised if we saw any in-game footage. If we did, that would be welcome. I certainly
I don't
don't
think
think
so.
we're going to see any sort of a stage demo or anything like that. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that game is probably a good 2 years away.
Yeah,
from
I
being
think like
released.
2017 is probably Mass Effect. The
Yeah.
next Mass Effect.
Yeah, I think so.
Possibly end of 2016. Like, it's possible we could see it the end of next year.
Right.
But I don't see it before then. And you know me, I'm an RPG buff, man.
Yeah,
Like, most of the series that I'm interested in, they're not gonna have anything. I would love to see new IPs, new RPGs, stuff that isn't fucking first-person shooters. I would like to see.
well, I would
Um,
welcome like unique FPSs like the Darkness. I don't know if they ever make a Darkness 3. Like, that'd be great. I always go back to the Darkness on first-person shooters because it's one of the only ones I just absolutely love.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't know, man. What about you? What do you hope to see?
I don't think it'll happen, but I would love to. I'd love to see some kind of trailer for the next Red Dead Redemption. It's sort of known that Rockstar is making that game, but I think knowing Rockstar, it's probably not only too early for a trailer, but I think that Rockstar won't release anything about it until probably like a year before it's going to be released,
Yeah.
and I don't think that's going to happen this year. Plus, they do things on their own time, right? So
Yeah, they don't really...
they don't care about E3.
Yeah, they don't really go into the whole E3 thing. They're like,
No.
yeah, whatever.
I would like to see more of the new Zelda game for the Wii U, which I think that's likely. I don't think it'll be playable, but I think we might get a nice little stage demo.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think E3 is having some kind of press event this year, right?
What do you mean?
I think wasn't it last year they didn't have any kind of demonstration or anything?
I think that was the year before, didn't it?
maybe it was. It all runs together.
But yeah, they are allowing that kind of stuff in this year, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Of course, I would love to see some footage or gameplay of WWE 2K16.
Of course.
Imagine that.
Yeah. I should have called that one.
Especially since this year's game was so disappointing. Hope for better next year.
Here's open.
Let's see. I would love to see that Wii U price drop announced for
I don't think we're
$50
gonna see that.
reduction, $250. Throw in some kind of pack in. But yeah, I doubt it'll happen this year either. And I don't think it would be announced at E3. I think it would probably happen close to the holidays, if it did happen. Oh man, that's really. Oh yeah, there's that one horror video game they showed last year that I cannot think of the name of it, but it looks like you're gonna be somehow like playing a horror movie. Basically, I don't know if you remember that demo from last year.
I don't.
It looked pretty cool, so I'm hoping we'll hear something about that this year.
Oh yeah, I'd like to see more on No Man's Sky as well.
Yes, that is the other thing.
I kind of feel like that game is going to turn out to be a huge disappointment, but I want to see more despite that.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm not putting it on this huge pedestal. Like, it's
Exactly.
an indie game. If it were a big AAA game, I would probably have more expectations of it. But I think people are putting too much on it, and so ultimately people will be disappointed. But since I don't have a lot of expectations for it, maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. I just want to fly around in space to other worlds and like look around. And
Yeah,
that's
I'm
cool with
tempering
me.
my expectations for sure.
Yeah. That's about it, man. I mean, that's really all I can think of.
Oh yeah, BioWare is
Just-
supposed to be coming out with a new IP. I don't think we'll see anything this year though. So, I'm a BioWare type guy.
Yeah.
obviously. Yeah, I can't think of anything else.
I mean,
on my end either.
I would like to see some new innovative stuff. I know I can tell you we will see the next Assassin's Creed that's going to take place in London. Will it ship?
Oh, yay.
Will it ship broken this year? Is the big question. Like, man, it sucks because I always want to get excited about these Assassin's Creed games because, I'm a history geek and I'm like, oh yes, I can explore, France during the French Revolution like the last game. This will be awesome. And then it ends up being just a clusterfuck of disappointment. And it sucks. It really sucks to get so excited about something because the ideas are great, but the execution is poor.
I mean, that's why you gotta temper your expectations for these things, right?
Yeah, I mean, it just sucks for a series that's made so much money and could be so much more,
Assassin's Creed is what it
irritating.
is, man.
It really
Like,
is.
you know what you're getting with Assassin's Creed every freaking year, and that's my problem with it, man. It never changes.
Yep, and they promise. I mean, they flat out lie to you about just a lot of the changes they make, and like there are always these little tiny things, but it's never enough. This game should not be an annual release, but they're gonna show it off, and I'm sure I'll be like, oh man, this looks cool, but then I'll have
It'll
to
be
tell,
pretty.
Yeah, exactly.
No question about that.
Then I'll have to tell myself, don't get excited because
Don't do it.
it's going to be a big old mess, and But this year's
steaming pile.
exactly. But anyway, it's going to take place in like medieval London this year, I think, or something. So you want to get excited, but you better not.
Yeah, basically.
Anyway, so that's what Ubisoft will show.
That's their big thing. They'll show more.
Yeah, I mean, I would just like to see some unique, innovative games that are coming out for these new consoles, as we keep harping on.
I'd like to see mostly PC stuff. That looks interesting for obviously selfish reasons, but
Well, yeah, of course.
and
But,
I'd like to hear that this stuff is coming to PC and those consoles.
right. I still want console gaming to do well, though.
Oh, I do too. I'm not one of those people. I don't care what you play on.
Yeah, I don't either. I really don't. I mean, I hate a lot on Xbox One because it's Microsoft and
Well, people hate and make Microsoft's business practices.
right. But if Microsoft can put some really good titles out and make me think, man, I gotta have that system.
Yeah, if they just don't act like douchebags, it's all cool.
Yeah, but I mean, these consoles, they have to give you a reason to spend that, $350 to $400 entry, and I don't feel like they do that. They're currently not doing that.
Yeah, they've got a ways to go.
Yep. So it'll be an interesting E3. We'll hopefully. I feel like E3 now is a lot of showing. Here's what's coming for the holiday.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Whereas
and
it
here's
used to
what's
be-
coming, like some of next year.
Yeah, a little bit. But it used to be at E3 you saw games that were going to be coming 2 and 3 years down the road, sometimes even 4. So you don't really get that long of a look now at projects. You get the bare bones basic. But man, what would be my dream for E3?
What's that?
Sleeping Dogs 2.
You're not gonna see that, man.
Oh.
You know what the company's doing.
I know. You know what else would be my dream?
What's that?
Shenmue 3.
Not happening.
No.
Well, I guess those are dreams for
Those
that
are
reason,
dreams.
right?
Yes.
Oh,
Those are my dream E3 titles, and that's really it. That's all I can think of.
my dream. Dream E3 title is Final Fantasy VII Remake, I guess.
Oh gosh, that would be amazing. But
Though at this point,
It's
like
10
I'm not
years
even
too late,
Yeah, I'm
but-
not even like that excited. Like if it happened, I'd be like, "Wow, cool," but like I wouldn't be like, "Oh my god!" Like if I would have been like, in 2010,
what's crazy to me is Square Enix really just pissed away millions of dollars by not doing that game.
Yeah, like everyone was like asking for. Well, not everyone, but there was so many people that would have been interested in that during the post Advent Children, obviously. Like
Yeah.
you should have put that at the end of all the Final Fantasy VII, world building, whatever stuff they called it.
Yeah.
But anyway,
if Square
that's
was
gone.
releasing new innovative titles with compelling stories, I think I would care less. At least I would be more understanding and be like, all right, I get why you're not doing this.
Yeah.
But they're not. They haven't done that in years.
Instead, they're taking 10 years to release games.
And games that are like not
stupid
even
ass
great.
stories.
Yeah. I mean, man, you want to talk about why Japanese game development is in the toilet. That is a prime example right
Well,
there.
Square Enix is just... I mean, they've been not who they were for literally almost 15 years now.
Oh, yeah. They're a far cry, you know. Hell, the best thing they've released is Sleeping Dogs, in my opinion, and they didn't even make
they
that
didn't
game,
make
really.
that.
They bought that,
They just published it.
and then they polished it, I guess you would say, and, you know, the studio did a great job doing that, but it was not their original IP,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Is what it is, man.
Yeah.
I think that's
But-
it, though.
But yeah, as always, I'm excited to watch E3. You know, I love the big show. You know, they say I love the big fight. I love the big show. You know, of all these companies coming together and
Yeah,
getting on
if I'm
stage
off
and-
that, I really hope I'm off that day, man, because I want to watch the press conference. Maybe I'll even request it off.
yeah, I don't blame you.
It's just because
It's
it'll
a
be
big
fun.
deal. Yep, and
sit down. I'll probably buy a pizza or
oh man,
get some nachos or something.
yeah, we'll have to do that day.
Yeah, man.
Go out
I mean,
during the.
if we're both free, that'd
Yep.
be fun.
I mean, it's great now because you really don't have to worry about even being there. It's such a press spectacle.
Oh yeah,
You
I
can just
mean,
watch.
and you know, streaming has come so far.
Oh,
Hell, we're on
yeah.
Twitch right now.
Yep, we're streaming our own stuff. I mean,
Yeah, just us.
that would've been
goes to show how
impossible.
easy it is.
Yep. I mean, oh man, it's crazy. We talk about this, like how many people are doing podcasting now because it's so simple, right?
Mm.
Like celebrities do podcasts now. Stone Cold Steve Austin has a podcast. You know, all these wrestlers and celebrities and sports guys, and you know, a couple of years ago, I thought it was really cool that we were able to just sit down in a room with a little crappy microphone and record our conversations, and you know, now we can stream live with a game. And I mean, honestly, we could, if we really wanted to get advanced, we could put up a camera so you could see our pretty faces and
Yeah, have a
be
webcam
scared off.
with-
But
no sense in that.
yeah, but man, technology is amazing, you know, and
And it works.
video games are my favorite part of technology. So excited
too,
to
man.
see what's coming.
Interactive media.
Yes, sir.
But that's gonna do it
Yeah, thanks for
for
joining
Retro
us.
episode 3.
We appreciate it, guys, and you know we will be back with our big E3 show probably a couple of days after the event. I don't know if it's just going to be us. It probably will be.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on, you know, our schedules, to be honest.
Yes,
As to
so true.
what happens, when it happens, all that. It will not be the day of because, you know, we're lazy, basically.
Yeah, we want to digest this and eat pizza along
sure.
with the show, and you know, it's,
Digest both physically and mentally.
it's funny, man. It's like our Super Bowl, basically. You know,
In a way.
it's the Super Bowl nerd for gamers.
Yeah, it's for gaming anyway.
Yep.
Though
great.
E3 is not exactly what it used to be, it's still a lot of fun.
Oh, it is, and yeah, it's not what it used to be, but hell, WrestleMania is not what it used to be either. I always go back to wrestling.
it's not what it used to be.
It ain't. Back in the day, everything was good.
That's right. Used to walk 6 miles in the snow.
Thank God we never had to do that.
Yeah. But anyway,
our
that's
lazy asses.
it for us, guys.
All right. Thanks, guys. Peace out.
See you next time.